You're like, people who come up to me at the gym, who is Big Chungo? I was like, listen, Grandma.
Get it right.
No, to be honest, I'm stunned more people don't enjoy this shirt.
Yeah.
I enjoy it. Good for you.
You do. You're a man of true taste and culture. Though.
True mimetic understanding.
Do you ever like walk through the mall with that or anything?
Yeah, I pretty much just wear it like I would any other shirt.
Right. Yeah. It is a shirt. So no, the reason I ask is like I've worn like shirts with specific references or whatever. Like I still have it, like a Big Baller brand shirt. Like, you know, like
What is that?
you don't know what that is?
No, what is that?
It's LeVar Ball.
Yeah.
Like in his sons, like he's this one. Like, his sons are all good basketball players. One plays in the NBA, and they're all good college players and stuff. And he's just, like, this random dude whose sons happen to be really talented. And
He's
just
marketing genius.
Yeah, he's a marketing genius.
Oh, I see.
And
Okay.
he was just, like, such a big shithead. But then he made his brand, and it was Big Baller brand. And, like, he tried to, like, sell it to Nike, but he wanted, like, literally, like, $1 billion for his, like, t-shirt idea.
Reasonable.
Yeah, and they're like,
Fairly
no.
reasonable.
So then he like made it himself or whatever. But then I don't know, like there's some marketing wisdom in there. But anyways, it's Big Baller brand. It's kind of a unique logo, and it's just ridiculous. And like
Nice.
walking through the mall, people are like, Big Baller brand.
But see,
or I've worn my "Wouldn't Make a Dent" shirt.
yeah,
Like
that's
the
good.
Cleo one. Yeah.
Those memes that, like, I don't know, I find it's just fun, right? It's, they most of the time won't even elicit a response. That's not why you really wear them, but it's for the occasional, like,
It's for the
It's
occasional,
like
like,
the occasional
head nod,
icon,
head
yeah.
nod.
yeah, it's like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Because I've been telling you about my recent gym attire change, right? We chatted about it today a little bit at the gym. And it was like,
Maybe.
I've been wearing like big shirts, like just like those Colossus shirts, right? I buy like
Okay.
triple XL,
Yeah.
lovely cotton off of tpublic.com.
Yeah. No free ads.
Yeah.
They're great. You essentially just get whatever, and like the material's pretty good.
Yeah.
And so I've been,
So
wearing.
you just like send them a look, like they just is this like a print your own sort of thing or what?
Not well. They have their own artists, but they essentially have so much stuff that you could just get whatever you want.
Chungus.
Yeah,
Search.
actually, search Big Chungus. Like,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like-
There's definitely some shit on there.
like just a very obscure meme that like 1 in every 1,000 people probably knows
Yeah.
about.
Okay.
Maybe
Do you
even
have the
more.
like Supreme logo on that one? Yeah, you do.
Yeah, it's called Supreme Chungus, I believe. Just in case you have any listeners who want to
Want it on
take a
authentic
foray
comedy.
into the discreet memers.
Meme land.
Yeah,
I love those shirts that are like 3XL.
yeah, dude, they're
Make
sweet.
make you look like you're.
See, and that's the ironic part. It makes you look huge, right?
Yeah, you only
Even-
have forearms.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it just hangs off of your traps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like honestly,
Nice.
it's
Yeah.
way better than wearing stringers. I'd always be self-conscious of my nips popping out.
You're not one of those guys that wears like a hoodie over an
A s-
XXL T-shirt.
Over
A stringer.
over a singlet.
Yeah,
Kobe.
over not even a stringer. Yeah, over a singlet.
Yeah, literally the white Kai green. just work out in full red hoodie gear.
You need dreads, bro.
Yeah,
That's
no.
your next foray.
Those
into-
predator dreads that
Yeah.
Kai rocks.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Did you know he was? I don't think either of you guys watched this show, but he was in season 2 of.
Stranger Things?
Yeah.
was it? Yeah. I heard about that, but that's just because I follow his Instagram pretty
Oh,
closely.
okay.
You don't even have Instagram, and you follow his Instagram.
Oh yeah, whenever he's linked on bodybuilding, the bodybuilding subreddit, I always take a peek.
I was gonna say.
And he has
how
these-
does that work?
Yeah, no, trust me, it's. I should probably just go on Instagram, but I have this thing where I just don't want to.
It's probably for the best, but
Shitty guest can't promote our content.
Yeah. Do you guys still use Nexopia?
That website still exists. Didn't we talk about this?
I
the
think
other
we
week?
did. Yeah.
It's like a stripped down like forum. Like it's weird. Their Instagram has like 1,800 followers.
You know what, dude? MySpace still exists.
Yeah, but that's
wild.
for like the.
It's
There's
more like music.
It is.
now, I
Yeah.
think,
and
yeah.
MySpace. Oh, am I thinking of MySpace? There's like a bunch of like fan fiction stuff and stuff like that for people to share their art and things on too.
Oh,
pretty sure it's used as a
maybe.
fringe. I
I
don't
don't
know.
know.
fringe community.
I'm actually I have
Fan
no
fiction.
idea.
You're
Yeah.
part of a lot of fringe communities.
Yeah,
so you should probably get in on
That's
that
it's time to draw My Little Pony pictures on MySpace.
Yeah, fan fiction.
one. Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Mr. Suction Cup over here too.
Yeah,
by
what
the
do
way.
we got going on?
It's an octopus.
It's not Quasimodo.
It's not the Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Yeah.
No, yeah, we were gonna chat about this. We talked about this before. I guess we'll chat about it now.
Fine. Be
Um,
that way.
I don't know. I like cupping myself. What can I say?
Yeah.
It's you get consistently sore, and like I don't have a Josh with strong hands to take around with me everywhere I go. So like, I'm just like, yeah, just you could drive, cup,
Yeah.
talk on a podcast, cup,
This is fair. Yeah.
eat, cup.
Don't like the legit masseuses have to light something when they're doing the cup?
So the cupping is actually an interesting thing because what?
Go on.
What is this?
I just pulled up cupping on Urban Dictionary to see what other second definitions.
Yeah, you should definitely read that one out loud.
Maybe you can't read it.
No.
You can read it. It's
It's
obscure.
medically accurate. So to
Is
weigh cupping, to weigh with one's hands someone's testicles. Yes,
I see.
these feel about right.
Oh, valid. I'm not actually referencing that type of cupping.
No. But don't they have to light something when they put those on?
Yeah, so there's like there's two now.
Where are those?
There's I guess two different approaches to like cupping, right?
Yeah.
There's Eastern v Western medicine approaches. So like traditionally, with Eastern medicine, cupping works on, I don't know, probably something like chi flow or something like that.
Okay.
And so the tissue they also did bloodletting too, right? Where you would cut a hole over someone's skin and get that suction cup on, and it would actually just draw the unhealthy blood up, right? Which,
Okay.
I mean, there's not a lot of merit to that, I don't think, in current literature now, but which is why you don't see it over here. But the same thing happens with like those cups that are, they like the fire under them to get that negative pressure in.
That's what it is.
And so there's a bunch of different types, right? So
Is it just the same? So is the one with the flames the same as that, where you like pump it out, or what?
not really. So this one is like a special silicone one that essentially you can just put over the skin and it just sucks up the tissue underneath,
okay.
right? And I think it approaches it more like closely to like a Western medicine side with tangible effects on the tissue. I honestly couldn't speak like very strongly on that, being as I'm sure that's not necessarily heavily heavily like researched in literature, like what this does, because it would probably be very difficult to actually study. But it's purported to have more tangible effects in terms of like soft tissue release, like kind of like a deep tissue massage, but it distracts the tissue instead of pushing it downwards. So like you still get like similar analgesic effects to soft tissue and probably metabolic changes, but I'm just not sure what they are.
Okay. You've had a conversation with me before about muscle knots and how you actually can't really get rid of them. You have to, correct me if I'm wrong, you like apply pressure to them, and it's the effect of doing so that relieves it for a period of time, but you actually can't get rid of knots.
Yeah, well, obviously people's like standard terminology with those things, like, oh, I have a knot there, and you feel a palpable trigger point, right? And you're like, oh wow, time to work these knots out. Right? Well, I mean, I think what that active deep tissue work and whatever type of soft tissue work that you want to choose does, like honestly, it's especially with whenever therapy is concerned, it's like soft tissue work, there's a bunch of different options you could use, right? There's like edge tools, there's like other Graston techniques, there's cupping work, there's active release, there's like so many different things.
Rolling pins.
Yeah, exactly. All that stuff, like the tiger tail stuff, right?
Yeah.
All that stuff is like purported to do something similar. It's all for the same effect in terms of getting that soft tissue to release or to provide an analgesic effect over like really tight musculature.
Gotcha.
And that obviously, if you're treating someone, is going to be part of treatment, if not most of it, because you're likely going to fundamentally try to correct different other biomechanical issues resulting in that tissue tightness.
What is a muscle knot then, if it's
shit.
not real?
To be honest, I'm pretty sure I chatted with Josh about this right after I read an article about it.
So it was fresh.
It was a couple, like, it was definitely over a year ago.
Yeah, I remember seeing something about that. I was like, oh, pretty cool. And then came up in conversation like a week later.
It out the next conversation, and then
exactly.
totally forgets about it. Yeah.
But like that hypertonic tissue with that knot is essentially, you could say, people refer to it as trigger points, and whether that's something that's valid or not is something that's up for discussion. But it's essentially highly sensitized tissue that appears tighter and it just doesn't let go.
Yeah.
Right.
So your underlying, solution is trying to get movement back to a more natural state.
100%, yeah. So you get, like, with that, like, deep tissue work or whatever method of soft tissue release that you choose, it's going to get blood flow to that area, increase the rate at which different metabolites are cycled through that tissue, and have a bit of an analgesic effect, decrease inflammation over that spot, right?
Yeah. Sitting at a keyboard all day with your
So
traps like this.
Do massages? You actually, I remember you saying something about this, but do massages do anything? Like what, or is it controversial and doesn't do the same as what you think it does, or is it effective?
So this is where you get into the great part of trying to study something that involves many different factors to it, right? And so I'm going to take a bit of a wayward way to answer this, but just bear with me. Okay. So, like, let's say you're talking to Quentin, my brother, a clinical geneticist, right? And you're, like, looking at what the gold standard of literature is. Well, you're going to have perfectly controlled variables in a perfectly sterile environment with, like, both controlled and manipulated variables being, like, exactly measured, right? So you can experience and see, like, raw effects that you know are due. X is for sure due to Y, right?
Yeah.
Right.
When you start talking about fields that involve, like let's say physiotherapy or massage therapy or
nutrition.
well, we'll talk about that after nutrition. But so you start to get so many different effects, right? That are really difficult to make tangible. So massage therapy is actually really interesting, right? Because you've probably went for a massage and you feel better after it, right?
Yeah,
You're like,
definitely.
This feels good, right? Yeah. There's many different reasons
especially
why
the places I go. Just kidding.
I live pretty close to one of those places.
In Montreal, there's a few of those places right down the street too.
So, like, with tangible physiological effects, right? Let's talk about the level of the tissue itself. I'm sure there are minor tangible changes, right, in terms of, let's say, inflammatory mediates that are present in tissue, like cytokines, or let's say white blood cell response, or something like that, right? Not like I would really, really know, because I haven't seen a lot of the current literature on it, if there is a lot. And then, of course, there's nervous system effects, right? Just desensitization, light touch. That's going to be affected. So you have neurophysiological effects, which may or may not be extremely present depending on what kind of massage you get. And then you have, like, we call it the therapeutic alliance effect, right? It's special for any career which you are touching somebody. Like, the fact that you lay your hands on someone immediately creates changes, right? There are changes in perception. There's changes in essentially... I was just talking to my hairdresser about this. But
so
hairdressers
that
are kind
feeling of connection,
exactly,
quote,
yeah, and it's difficult to have
measure that.
I was
right?
just gonna say hairdressers do it themselves.
Exactly, yeah.
Right.
No, that's the big thing in careers where you touch people, right? Is there's a whole other aspect to treatment, is the fact that you're actually letting someone who is a stranger like touch you.
Arguably, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Arguably, well, they're a healthcare professional,
Yeah,
right? But
still,
they still touch you, and that creates a host of other effects and psychological feelings of closeness, or whatever you may call it, right? In physio, they call that therapeutic alliance, right? And so that makes a big difference too, in terms of like, let's say I'm going off of like extremely evidence-based literature. A lot of treatments would mostly revolve around exercise, because that's one of the main things that's shown by literature to be really effective in treating a lot of conditions in physiotherapy, right? Mm-hmm. But I mean, if you have patients come in and you're like, you don't really touch them, you're just like, okay, do that.
Yeah, exactly.
And they'd be like, I feel right. You'd be like, huh? He just told me to do exercises, right?
Yeah.
So it's a blend of using extremely evidence-based practice and also certain other techniques that work for you and work for clinicians that you work with. So that's kind of where massage lies. So there are some tangible benefits that you can actually talk about. Are they extremely significant on like a cellular level? Maybe not really, but people go because it makes them feel good.
Yeah. Okay, yeah,
right?
Fair enough.
Yeah.
And you may find it helps you with general stress levels, which could have an effect on general tissue tone too, right? So you're changing like a billion things with a massage potentially, and people can respond a lot differently to it, right? That's my opinion anyways.
Gotcha. Sometimes in the scientific community, anecdotal evidence outpaces the study.
There's so much anecdotal versus like, or even like zero long-term studies or whatever, right? Like, isn't there, maybe this is bro science in itself, but isn't it that there actually have been no long-term studies clinically definitively proving the relation between consuming protein and growth of muscles or something like that?
Well,
I'm paraphrasing, but there is a...
That's a big paraphrase.
Yeah.
First, I love bro science.
Oh,
I do. I love it.
Bro science
It's
is
50% science,
started.
50% bro,
but that's,
and 50%
that's
else.
great, man. I fucking love bro science.
Yeah.
Because that is honestly, it's taken me through from day one of working out, what's 8 years ago, right? To like having a genuine intrigue into like, what's the best way to do things? Like, I heard this, but does that integrate well with this opinion, right? Everyone's had their mentor figure at the gym, like, chat with them about like, oh bro, no, if you do 3 sets, that's a fucking waste.
Yeah.
4 sets only, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen the graph where it's like, because people are always like, 8 to 12 is hypertrophy or whatever, 1 to 6 is more strength, and it's like, so at 7 reps nothing happens.
7.5.
Yeah, there's like a there's like a I guess, is it a tangent graph line or something where it goes like this, and the 2 lines
I forget
don't come to the one
as
point.
you get closer to 7, it doesn't count.
Yeah, it's literally square root of 3 territory or whatever. Imaginary number.
Yeah.
Just you warp into a black hole. And No, but to make reference to your previous point, protein definitely has an effect, right? For sure, right? So on like muscle protein synthesis, right? But I mean, when you're talking about how much protein you eat, and things like that,
I think that's more where it was going.
And like when to eat it, because I was talking to a guy about the gym at the gym about this today.
I remember that was a big thing.
The anabolic window, right?
Yeah, here we go.
It's like, if I don't drink my protein shake immediately as I'm leaving the gym, gain's gone. Might as well not have even gone, right? I used to honestly kind of think like that too, right?
For sure.
I would forget my shake at home, and I'd be like,
well, waste of a workout.
Well, isn't it? Well, this is probably also bro science, but isn't it actually better to wait? But then we could pull up 100 YouTube videos.
I feel like that's
that
exactly
tell us
what this is.
15 minutes, 30 minutes, 60 minutes.
Thomas Bro Science Harrington. Well, that's essentially, it's all the information we pick up from various sources.
Right.
Like, I'm sure you don't forge through peer-reviewed literature every night, and you're like, this study it seems to be not really of rigorous quality, but they're advocating for protein intake 47 minutes after workout, right? I think even let's talk on a more general sense with like when you eat the meals throughout your day, e.g., like, I don't know, eating like a heavy breakfast because of insulin spike in the morning, right?
Yeah.
Like that, even like where there's a more tangible change in like actual measurable compounds, they found that it doesn't. I don't think it makes a huge difference.
Right.
From what I've heard, from what I've watched on my favorite YouTube channel, Jeff Nippard.
Nippard, yeah.
Nips, yeah.
He does some good stuff.
Well, he's great. Fuck, I talk about him all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this man is sifting through this peer-reviewed literature
Yeah.
for the bro scientist, right?
Yeah, he's doing it for me, so I don't have to do it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he's great. He has like all the article citations he goes through. He seems to have, I don't know what his credentials are, but he seems to have a good idea of on how to, assess the quality of a study, which you need to do, right?
To hop back for a second, bodybuilders in like the 70s, I want to say, how they were training chest in the incline, the flat, and the decline. Doctors assumed that there wasn't any difference in the stimulus that the muscle was giving, and then they did it like there was a tremendous study 15 years later or something.
They did like EMG
Yeah,
stuff,
that figured out that you actually could target certain muscle groups even within a chest.
muscle fibers within your pec.
Yeah.
No, that's the
So bro science wins every time, man.
So wait, bro science wins for the upper lower chest argument, or no?
Yeah, they found that you could stimulate fibers in the upper with an incline press. Correct me if I'm wrong, but
I'm pretty sure that's a thing. Yeah,
that's why we
you're
do
right.
incline presses and also flat and also decline, but nobody fucking does decline. So
See, again, the bro science I heard
Lower
said
chest.
that, lower the different, because your chest is only separated about here-ish, right? Like there's only two parts of your pec.
I just look at it as I only wear V-necks, so my chest only this is all that matters, right? You don't have to worry about anything below that.
I used to be V-necks only for a while.
Yeah.
My
Now
upper
you're
chest.
crew-neck.
I'm
you're
not
a
crew
big
necks because my upper
Chungus.
chest is my upper chest is severely lacking. So I've changed my wardrobe in accordance. But no, well, Tom, you're right. So your pec major has essentially two different portions to it, right? So it's a large fan-like muscle that spans like from your upper humerus, and it comes up and has two main insertion points. One on your your sternum, so your sternal head, and the upper being your sternoclavicular, so it has those upper sternal insertions, and by your clavicle as well. Yeah. So the angle of pull is different. So you hit a different position in terms of humeral adduction, right? Bringing your arm across the body to hit each one, right?
So is decline bench useful? Definitive answer right now.
I don't fucking do it, so
I haven't done it in a long time.
I was thinking about that.
The only time I did it was because I was like, you can definitely
you can do
more
way
weight.
more.
You can lift way more.
That was like working out McEwen days at like lunch hour, and you're like, man, there's a lot of chicks here. Decline bench.
But that's because I think it decreases the length
that's
of
true,
excursion
it is
from
the less.
That's 100% what it is.
So much.
So I'm like, you're barely coming into any really extension there. So
I also think like, just from personally, like it's a little less shoulder engagement, which is in theory a weaker, harder to use muscle.
Sure,
right?
yeah.
So this way you're kind of like, if
that might feel good. Yeah,
Yeah,
I can see that.
Yeah.
Start your own bro science there, Tom. All you have to do to peddle the bro science is chat with a few gym bros about it.
Yeah,
and then it'll
they'll all be like, "Oh yeah,
they'll be like, yeah, I heard this. I can't remember where, but
actually, I was thinking about the funniest is if you see a jacked guy at the gym doing a slightly different workout, like kind of a creative use of a weight or machine.
Yeah.
Over the next few weeks, you will see that workout spread throughout the gym. Like, I literally thought of this today because I saw some guy doing sort of a weird fucking thing with the assisted dips. And then I saw, like, 3 other people doing it. I'm like, what the fuck are you guys doing?
It is a tangible thing. It does happen.
I mean, that's getting into, like, I guess, social science, really, right?
I call it the Z's effect, right?
The Z's effect, yeah, exactly.
The gorilla effect.
Like, me and Quinn were talking about this, Quinn and my brother, we were talking about this exact same thing yesterday. And he's getting all into, like, he's doing a bunch of muscle ups, and he's all concerned about core strength, hanging, shit like that, right? It's pretty impressive if you're good at it, to be honest. So Quinton's been doing a lot of bar work at the gym recently at Good Life. And yeah, he'll say, like, after he does a few muscle ups, like 10 minutes later, he'll see a cycle of dudes go to the same bars and, like, just try them. Because you see them, you're just like, looks pretty cool and challenging.
They look good.
They look cool. It's such a, like,
Yeah.
it's a big irregular motion that, like, it catches people's attention, like, throughout the gym versus, like a guy doing bench press is like a normal motion, like it just blurs into the background.
100%,
versus,
yeah.
Yeah, like...
Or windshield wipers where you're hanging from the bar and just...
I've decided all core freaks are actually just extreme exhibitionists, right? Like, but think of, like, dragon flags, things like that. It's just like, hey,
look at me,
everybody. And honestly, like,
hey guys, the core show starts in 5 minutes if you want to
seriously
central
me, I'm just sitting on a nice isolation machine, minding my own business.
doing some micro movements.
But you actually have to be good at it, otherwise you look like a fucking idiot.
You do, yeah. But I mean, I'm bad at it, and I was doing it, and I've still had people come up to me and they were like, "Oh, that's pretty hard." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm pretty bad at it."
How do you kind of just, like, to learn the motion, like, A, it's strength, but B, it's sort of like knowing how to do it, like,
I feel there's some momentum involved.
Do you just struggle your way through the first few to kind of get a feel for how you do it? Or
if we're talking about muscle ups like themselves, there's a lot of technique involved, right? Yeah. If you can't really do it if you try to power through, right? Your shoulder just doesn't really work.
It's like an Olympic lift.
Yeah. So there's a decent amount of momentum, and you need a certain moment going up.
Where you kind of switch or whatever.
Where you switch, and you need really great strength and mobility to do that, but you also need fantastic technique, right? Mm-hmm. There's guys, like muscle pull and like strength being concerned, like they're way stronger than Quinton, but there's no way they could do muscle up. Yeah. There's no chance, right? Mm-hmm. It's a big difference.
One could even argue pull-ups, even something as simple as that, because it's sort of a different... motion and stuff.
You could argue it.
Yeah.
You could argue it.
Yeah.
But we can
I feel like
it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't agree with you, but
it's something where, like, if you don't do pull-ups every day, but do lat pull downs, maybe you could do a pull down of more than your weight, but not do a chin up on day one, sort of thing, right? Like, I found for me, like, part of doing chin-ups is, like, doing them regularly to be able to do
100%.
Like, a high amount, right?
Yep, and whenever you're sustaining that, like, you're pulling your body weight and you're pulling it in an awkward way, right? Mm-hmm. So you need to have a lot of great core stability there when you're maintaining your body essentially in open space when you're trying to do a chin-up or a pull-up, right? Mm-hmm. So you can't just be floppying around the core and, like, those nice stability muscles, like, or else you'll do terribly. Yeah, but you could probably do well with a lat pull down, which is essentially the same movement at the upper extremity, but you don't have to worry about core stability and what your body's doing in space. Right? Yeah. That's a huge difference too.
Definitely.
Right.
All right, we're gonna take a quick break here.
You can use it to intimidate other humans, but it's not ideally for survival.
Yeah.
Is Josh trying to talk about functional strength?
He's a big functional guy.
I was very much into Olympic lifting before I hurt myself, so that was like squatting 6 times a week type of thing. So,
yeah, but I mean, but there you go. You embrace the power aspect, the bone rehealing and strengthening, right? And like that's a big part of it if you're talking power and, like, your raw max, right? Mm-hmm. Is you need not only strong musculature, you need great core control and bracing, you need like a really strong like skeletal makeup too, right? That's a lot of those guys train that.
Yeah. And a mental strength too.
And mental power.
You got to envision it before.
Luckily, I'm maxed out on that.
Me as well.
Level 99 mental power.
Fellow big brain Mensa lifter guy.
Yeah. Did we introduce? I don't know if I talked about big brain gang yet.
You did.
Well, we already know that Tom has the biggest brain here, based off of head size alone.
Yeah. Big Brain Gang t-shirts coming. Quarter
BBG,
4.
Big Brain Gang.
Yeah.
Wow.
I actually have a vague design in mind that I will be getting. So
Since
speaking
discussing it, I also have
speaking-
a I have a design as well.
Yeah. When
I was just
speaking of mean t-shirts, though, I want to get Big Brain Gang t-shirts. Then you can wear them around Edmonton. Be like Big Brain Gang.
I was still just thinking of your struggle with hat size, and it's like Big Brain Gang should just be hats only, and only made a certain size specifically.
That is so fucking
kind of
true,
like a
man.
big and tall store.
Yeah, 8.125 only.
Yeah.
8
My
1/4
hat is 7 3/4, which is
bullshit.
I would take it off, but my hair is messy. But I'll show you the label.
Is this the intro, but you take an inch off instead? Is that what it is?
7 3/4, baby. That's not even. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Probably more like 8.
8 plus.
Read those numbers right there.
You know what, man?
8 and
Those hats
3/4.
Those hats are bullshit because one day I'm a 7, one day I'm a 7 1/4 with those hats.
They do actually. It depends. It appears to be if it's more of an on-field cap versus like just a random logo on it.
Gotcha.
The on-field ones fit tighter.
But
it's also just mass-produced crap, so there's a little variation in it too, right? So.
yeah, don't go by the mass produced. Go by the not mass produced.
I was gonna say,
Be a special motherfucker.
I believe that's a mass-produced house. So.
Only in batches of 100.
Can't even forego the mystery of the sapien hat for 1 second. I'm too much of a hat connoisseur.
Only in batches of 100.
I'm not gonna play your games here, Josh. That's good.
Yeah. I paid him to do that.
Yeah. Hey, wait a minute.
I won't
Is
say
this-
how much, but
This is my favorite hat.
Sorry, can you look into the camera and see that? Sapien hat. Such good quality.
Wow. I just put this through the wash. It looks just brand new.
Puts it on. And I'm helping others, too.
oh my god, I'm gonna cry.
Speaking of helping others, though, my parents were like, I had those stars stamps like everywhere. Had them everywhere.
Yeah.
They helped a lot. They did a lot of helping. Because I'm sure like that was my most salient childhood memory.
Stars stamps.
Stars stamps.
Okay. For stars or amulets?
For stars, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I always buy the calendars, but I figured that.
Yeah, my parents buy the calendars. I don't know, but yeah.
Just
I feel
forever.
like
it's just always something
they're
that,
just something that's like in your house.
that people have done. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's like a unifying factor for most 90s kids.
Yeah. But I felt like, hey, if I can give $3 a hat to them, there you go. So,
No, that's not bad. I think that's great, Josh.
yeah. Thanks, man.
That's fantastic.
Nice.
What were you talking about?
Big Brain Gang.
You just had to
Just
switch
hijack.
You had to switch a fantastic topic to your to your future business venture.
This is so funny. You still cupping? Not that cup, but
Always cupping.
Yeah, I had her off for a few minutes and I felt a little bit uncovered, so I decided to put it back
Feel my
on.
soft tissue.
But no, honestly,
tensing up.
it's feel the tension building. No, but like after I do like a heavy lift day, just with I think how my body is, I just get super sore traps, right? Like,
Yeah.
let's say I'm deadlifting. I'm sure lots of people are like this too, and I'm just like, I can't live like this.
how much you deadlifting now, bro?
Not that much. Probably like 3 1/4 for reps. I haven't really gone for the maxing
The max
side of
out?
things. I've just been going for reps, right?
I still remember pulling the max like it was yesterday.
Yeah.
And one of my teachers were there, and she's pretty attractive, so.
Is this a GMAC?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I had to pull it, and
Well,
we
you
got
had to
her
get
up there.
you had to get
Then
something
walk
out of your
past her,
time there.
like-
Yeah,
Yeah. Do you get your grunt down? That's great. Hey, theoretically proven, right?
Yeah.
Theoretically.
Well,
Actually
like
proven.
whose theory?
No,
the
it's,
guys at the gym or what?
No. It's not a bro science thing. That quick expulsion
like-
of like the
Yeah,
right.
it's the same. They do that in. Well, that's part of the like for martial arts and karate. Like,
Yeah.
because it stiffens the body.
It stiffens all the proximal musculature.
As long as it's
right?
not a.
Huh?
Nice
Still
deer,
can do it.
Deer hiss.
Give me a nice shoop. R.I.P. R.I.P. Piano Man.
You had to
is
bring
that
up
who-
Rich, eh?
Is that who did that?
You don't know the shoop?
No.
That's Rich
You
Piana.
should slap box him right now.
Oh my goodness! I can't believe you guys.
That's coming up too. That's in just over a month.
Yeah,
Month
Cheesecake
and 3
Day.
days.
I'll see you there.
Cheesecake Day.
Yeah, I'll see you
absolutely.
That's Rich Piana's death.
2 years.
3 years ago.
It's been
2
3
years.
years.
3 years. I want to say it was 2017.
The death of an icon.
Yeah.
Truly inspirational.
Good morning, everyone. So-and-so is. Yeah, motherfucker, I know that. All right, meal number 2.
Rule number 2: real food.
You cannot recapture this. Need to find a good shoot.
Shoop off.
Dude, I'm gonna fucking start doing that now.
The title is just Rich Piana Shoop in all capitals. So, for
Yeah.
those who don't know, Rich Piana is a bodybuilding legend who recently passed away.
Honestly, if they don't know, they shouldn't be watching.
Yeah.
Rich Piana is literally the second coming of some sort of deity that we don't deserve in our lives.
Yeah, so RIP, and I'll put a link to that video in the show notes, and check out his channel if you want to get fucking yoked. So-
Bigger by the Day was a
Yeah.
huge deal, man. I watched that all the time. And
The one where he's eating like 14,000 calories a day or whatever.
Oh,
he
he
just
was-
made videos
like,
every day.
well,
and
it's,
stuff.
it's like you remember like it happened a long time ago too. If you were reading Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Body, I think he mentions Palumbo in it, right?
Yeah, Palumbo.
The Palumbo section, right? And he's talking about just like he used his body as a growth experiment, right? Perfect or steroid stacks, right? Like he had everything and he was maxing it out in the prime of his life. Diet was crazy. He was eating so much that he was on the verge of vomiting all the time.
I think there's a story.
There's a story where he puked on his dash.
He pukes all over his fucking his windshield.
Who's Palumbo?
Dave Palumbo, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's an old bodybuilding legend guy himself, right?
Okay,
and
yeah.
and he's obviously he's coined the Palumboism gut, right?
That's where that's
With
yeah.
unrelenting IGF use, right?
Yeah.
And like growth, like so people didn't really know that it could hypertrophy like other soft tissue areas, right?
yeah. Do you watch the Olympia anymore? Or
Yeah,
did you ever watch it?
Well, I'm just a big fan of the bodybuilding subreddit. I think it's hilarious lots of the time. So I pop in and I can appreciate it too, right?
Yeah.
I think it's Sean Roden, right? Most
Last
recently,
year? Yeah, that's right.
And then he's been recently charged or under accusation of raping somebody. I think.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Pretty sure. I don't know how legitimate it is, but I mean that's like current bodybuilding drama.
Interesting. I didn't know that. I'm not part of Fit anymore, so
Yeah, I don't remember the
Backslash
last time I looked at like a fitness forum. Even Fit, which was like used to be the best advice, and then it just went off the rails. Honestly, So-
It definitely did, but I'm still just as entertained by it a lot of the time. No, it's fantastic. I do enjoy it. But anyways,
I feel like they're kind of going away from that because they're starting to penalize the gut a lot more,
yeah, it's changing,
which is good.
but I mean,
in
you know,
bodybuilding.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
there was a couple of years there where guys were just coming in and just trying to put as much mass on as possible.
yeah, and you know that's understandable, right? Because that's what the public wants, so that's what they're gonna
Yeah, they want to see the
get,
freaks.
right? They want to see how big you can get, right?
Yeah.
And then you hit a point where you're like, maybe we want to see some more refinement and like things
Yeah.
like that, right?
Yeah.
And so you have the dudes, like there's some that are just so huge that they're not really aesthetically pleasing whatsoever, and so they just do their own thing with like Instagram. Like Craig Goliath, I think, is like one of those guys, and he's so huge, like he makes his head look like it's abnormally small. Like definitely, if you're listening, like just look up his Instagram or something.
What's
and
his
he's
name?
like
Craig
Goliath.
Goliath.
And he's just like he's monstrous.
Dude. Yeah.
He's huge, but he's too big
He
to
has,
like.
well, and he's also a dude who he probably even has a normal sized head IRL, but his head just looks
But yeah,
so small.
But anyways, he's like and he has some hilarious posts too, right?
Yeah.
He's
actually-
very funny dude. But,
Yeah. I recently listened to the Joe Rogan episode with one of the guys who was in World's Strongest Man, like had won it before. I can't remember.
Oh, Eddie Hall.
Eddie Hall.
No,
yeah, yeah.
no. It was
Not Habthor.
no
Bjornsson?
But that guy's he's
That
friends
guy,
with
that
him.
guy's the Mountain.
Yeah.
In Game of Thrones.
I'm just gonna.
If you say the name, I'm sure I know it. But
It's Oberst is his last name.
oh, maybe a new guy.
Oh, burst!
Robert Oberst.
Wow,
Never heard of him.
I
Oh,
haven't.
okay. He's I think he won the contest, and then he's now on a new TV show where they do like historical feats of strength, supposedly, to try and recreate them to kind of like tales of
like amazing power.
feats of strength like hundreds of years ago when people were like an average like of 120 pounds or whatever,
Yeah.
right? So seeing if
Where
we could do
Eugene
it, so.
Sandow was the
yeah.
the epitome of muscular
The
development.
male physique.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Eugene.
I think that classic is going to be the bigger, like classic physique is going to be the bigger draw to those competitions.
Oh yeah, well obviously you're right. Things have changed, right? And
Yeah.
you know, every now and then when I'm scrolling, looking at a scantily clad picture of like
A
Phil
dude.
Heath or Kai Green, right? My girlfriend's like, "Ew,"
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I'm just like, interesting, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, I see the appeal of it. I'm like, wow, like
Yeah.
sheerly, I'm impressed, right? That's
Yeah.
it's amazing, right? What they're able to accomplish. But a lot of people are just like, ew.
That's disgusting.
They look like they're in pain, right?
Yeah.
That's my girlfriend impression.
Yeah.
Ew.
But where you pull up like a picture
Yeah.
of Chris Bumstead, for example,
Yeah.
and people are like, yeah,
They're like,
that looks good.
and if you don't say he looks good, you're obviously lying because Chris Bumstead looks fantastic. Right?
Yeah.
C-Bum.
So basically, they're trying to get back to like more what like Arnold and Friends
Yeah.
looked like.
More
sort of thing.
70s style.
Well, yeah, and even them, even Arnie has like voiced, I think, his displeasure with the
Where
gut.
it's at, yeah. Well, I don't know.
The mic is going to pick that up.
Yeah.
I love it.
That wasn't quite as loud as some other stuff. It'll probably just sound really funny.
Sweet.
Oh, yeah. I don't know, like what I always think of like the peak Ronnie days of like mid 2000s, like just when it was
Out of hand.
for sure out of hand, I think. Right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like it just looks like when you see the grainy 90s 2000 VHS quality videos of it and stuff, like it just looks weird, right? Like I don't know.
Yeah. No, you're right. I remember I saw Ronnie in person, right? We went to that.
Really?
Yeah, he guest posed at some, I don't know, 2012 Muscle Beach thing. That
Here?
yeah. He guest
Was
posed.
that when
Could he walk
could
that?
Yeah, this is pre-spinal cord injury, Ronnie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Saw him at his former glory before he started rubbing fat-burning lotion on his stomach. Right? Well, you didn't see that?
I did see that.
He was selling some, like, spot fat loss cream or something like that.
Oh yeah, was he?
I mean, that's kind of what happens when you squat 800 pounds.
Well, it was interesting in his documentary about him that like it was actually like a botched surgery or something. Like they tried to fix something with screws and the screws broke, and that's why he has so many issues.
Yeah, I
walking
mean,
or something like that.
if you get fixed and then you're like, by the way, doc, I'm gonna go squat a 900 pounds again. I don't actually know the circumstances or what happened, but
it was something where like because lots of people would be like, oh well, he can barely walk, his hips are screwed up, and like yeah, you would have a lot of long-term wear and tear, but supposedly the actual injury itself wasn't as related to it as you think, sort of thing. Like it was I don't know. It was kind of interesting. Because that documentary came out a couple years ago, right?
Yeah, there was some bodybuilder a few years ago that went into open heart surgery, and they nicked his spinal cord while he was in the surgery.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and paraplegic.
Oh,
I have to find the guy too. But yeah,
Crazy.
sometime it was around the time when I did my injury. So
so you're like,
there was a couple of guys.
so you're like shit.
You know what? You know what, dude? There was a couple of guys that did that in the fitness world around my time too. There was a CrossFitter that dropped a
I remember that. Yeah,
a
CrossFit guy. Who,
Kevin Ogre.
Yeah, and he became.
Really?
Yeah.
Was he quadra or parable?
No, fully paraplegic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So he's still doing CrossFit from a wheelchair. So
Right.
good on him. But
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was like it was at a competition, and then that was people went off on CrossFit being unsafe and all this crap. So
yeah, I'm not going to talk too much about that, but I think that the Olympic lifts for reps is not a good idea.
Well, see, here's where my major gripe is with it, right? Is we're talking about functional boys.
all right,
Right.
bros, gather around for some science.
For some bro sci,
Yeah.
right? Well, I mean, a lot of it is overhead-based movement, right? And that's certainly an important aspect of training. But for me, since I've dislocated my shoulder, my overhead movements have become nearly non-existent. And like just for my daily life, I really don't have to accept load in my upper extremity above 90 degrees, right? Like I don't do a lot of stuff up here, right?
Yeah.
Except for right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like so like for me from that standpoint, I'm just like, well, like of course you want to work on your overhead press for like from a hypertrophy standpoint, like you know, for delt building, tricep building, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, I just do that in other ways. So I'm just like, well, it's a bit of a compromising position for the shoulder. So
it's a lot of or high risk to medium rewards.
exactly.
Right?
I'm just
And
like, that's you know, especially
it becomes extremely dangerous when it's a complex movement like that.
Oh, yeah.
Repeatedly done where it's meant to be done like once.
and especially done by members of the general population who are looking to something
Untrained.
for. They're untrained and they're looking for something to get them fit, right?
Yeah.
And so, I think
Mind you, he was trained and like
yeah.
he was.
Oh, I'm not
a
saying
higher
it
up one.
in,
Yeah.
in terms of him. Like honestly, but
Yeah,
your
but
body's
if you go to a
plastic.
more general criticism.
If you go to a
of the
general
sport.
CrossFit class and you see people doing like clean and presses, you want to kill yourself.
Yeah, well, like the Kipling pull-ups, right, and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
You actually are worried about them snapping
Well,
their shit out.
joints, yeah.
Well, and like that like spin classes do this a lot too. As I've talked to my girlfriend about it.
We're gonna get so much hate on this
Oh, yeah.
episode.
Love it.
But I mean, like half the time when they're off the bike, just like doing some light weight work, right? And it's
Yeah.
just like, it's about 100 reps of these, right?
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
And I'm just like, well, you're just begging for shoulder irritation
Yeah, yeah.
there, right? You aren't used to really working above 90 degrees, and you just go toss yourself into a bunch of high rep, uncontrolled movements there. You're gonna.
Oh, is
pinch.
that part of spin classes?
I think they sometimes do weights and
Yeah.
stuff too. I don't really know.
Yeah, I can't give up my gains to cardio, so I don't do that either.
I don't actually know what that.
Yeah.
What is a spin class?
I'll make a philosophical statement here just for a sec. If you're working out, it probably should be to compete against your own self
Yeah.
instead of
Like a
500
group.
other people.
Yeah.
And
Sure. Yeah.
I think what was interesting.
I enjoy a little competition. Though.
Yeah.
yeah, but I mean, lifting weights for speed.
Oh yeah.
Let this
time-
be, let
lifting
this
weights
be
for
known.
time?
I do not activate. I don't advocate lifting weights for speed.
For time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
So that Robert Oberst guy, like one of the world's strongest men, like competes in that every year, said like most people shouldn't do deadlift, right? Like because very high risk to low reward, and like yeah, it's a good compound exercise and hits a lot of muscles, but if you're just like trying to be fit and go work in an office or whatever, like the risk of injury is so high, and you don't really need to do that.
Yeah. I would say
Like,
maxing out deadlift
Yeah.
is a
Yeah,
is a
I would,
special.
I would
thing,
agree
right?
with that as Josh of 2019 would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Josh of 2012 would say "fuck you both."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Sure, but I mean, he is right.
And he even said a lot of high level athletes, like because he was like a football guy or whatever, they don't really do deadlifts in like NFL locker rooms or NCAA locker rooms because the athletes are endangering themselves, right? And,
Yeah. But I mean,
Yeah.
it's still like you have to take that with a grain of salt. Like, should you be doing your 1 or 2 rep max deadlifts, right? Maybe that's a little bit compromising, and you don't have to deal with that much force in a way that's applied that way, right? However, it still does hit like fantastic core stability, right? So you're loading your spine in a way that you have to maintain that neutral position, and if you go into flexion, you're gonna hurt yourself, right? So like keeping your spine neutral is key in a lot of daily movements, right? Let's say you bend over and grab something from the ground, right? So like, I mean, it's a movement you have to do, and it's good to get good at. But I mean, do you need to do it with 400 to 500 pounds loaded on?
Probably not.
For 1 rep maxes
You're
with
so
a belt on?
Yeah.
No, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, like, should you mainly get, a small percentage of your body weight and be able to maintain that proper core stability for it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Going back to the like repeated movements and stuff.
Yeah.
I thought of this one Rich Piana video going back where he was like, you want to make sure you grow overnight, here's what you do. You buy a little do you know this story?
I know,
He's like
15 pounds.
No, he's like buy a little like 10 pound, 5 pound weights.
Oh, okay.
And then
Feeders.
but do 100 bicep curls and 100 tricep
Feeders. He called them
extensions.
feeder sets.
Oh, is that what? But he's like, do them before bed because when you watch a scary movie before bed while you're sleeping, all you can do is think
You
about
dream
the scary
about
movie.
it.
You
Yeah,
dream
yeah,
about
yeah.
it. So if you do a bunch of workouts before bed, you'll dream of growing and your body.
But-
and he's like, and he literally after saying that was like, in the video was like, you guys see how fucking smart I am?
I love that though, because think of all the merit this has, and I'm a bit impartial, because so obviously you hear that at surface value and you're like, this is ridiculous, right? But so I was so curious about feeders at the time. I was like, are these valid? Like, is
So
this
would you
something
do
that you
those
could do?
before bed? Is that what
I did actually do them before bed
no,
for a
no,
while.
no, but is that what the feeder set was as well, right?
I guess, I don't know, I think Rich popularized feeders, and I think they took off a little bit because of that.
Okay.
But essentially what it was, I think the rationale is, maybe, I don't think Rich imparted this, but you essentially get a massive pump by increased time under tension and like doing 100 reps of a light manageable weight. After trying it, I was like, yeah, like this is a sweet pump right before bed. A little bit counterintuitive because I'm like trying to get sleepy, and then
The muscles are tensing up.
I'm like brush my teeth, whatever, and then like grab my
Curl your
15-pound
toothbrush.
dumbbell.
Curl your toothbrush.
I'm like listening to like high BPM trance and like getting pumped doing my feeders. But there was some guy who did it anecdotally, right? And he's like, "Oh, increased circumference of my arms by X amount, right? Within X amount of time of doing feeders." And I was like, well, if you think about like the vasculature and like how much you're stressing that area, I mean, it might not actually be tangible muscle hypertrophy that you're experiencing. You're just
Gain a sick pump.
you're just getting a pump and then keeping your pump all the time, and you're getting your muscle used to be extremely pumped and isolated. So a lot of blood flow goes there, and I don't know if that's actually scientifically valid, but I was like, well, that could potentially do something. It won't. I don't think it'll make you really stronger.
Some psychologist is going to come out in 5 years and be like, Rich was right. You were dreaming about the pump all along.
But if it takes up, like, and if you think about that too, right? If you're thinking about it at all times, constantly, and you become obsessive with it, you're likely going to see more improvement with it, right?
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know, if you think about anything else, if I'm thinking constantly about my woodcutting level in RuneScape, I'm probably going to play more and do more.
Right, like you kind of you are what you think about because
You are what you eat.
You do eat big to get big.
But I'm thinking about it. I wake up, I'm like, shit, I did a bicep curls for 2 hours last night. I gotta eat. And then you're like, shit, I gotta go to the gym. And then
it forces you to take more action.
Self-perpetuating cycle.
Exactly.
it is essentially, right? And it's with that psychological base, right?
Well, if you flex your muscles, you can actually put on size just by simply flexing them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
Seriously.
100%. Yeah.
Like if you actually flex them correctly.
Constantly.
Yeah.
Correctly.
too.
Well, that's
Yeah.
that's Arnie's big thing in pumping iron, right? Is in between sets, getting a nice pump, posing, right?
The pump is like coming.
Getting that, yeah, like coming, like
So
getting
I'm
that.
coming at home. I'm coming at
the gym. That is classic.
Yeah.
But you get that mind muscle connection too, right? You see it,
Yeah.
and you really feel that contract. Ooh, I almost cramped. But you really get an idea of how to squeeze and therefore hit that muscle with your exercises too, right?
Yeah, very true.
I don't think I knew how to flex my lats the first 5 years I was at the gym, right?
That's because you didn't train them, bro.
Because I didn't know how to train them properly.
You literally
See,
only
I
trained
don't
your arms.
train my back because it's not the front, so I can't see it, which makes me suspicious.
You just get
Is it even there?
You need to get a big enough back you can see it from the front, girl.
Ooh, called.
Oh,
You missed my Dom Mazzetti reference. So.
I got
oh,
it.
was that a Dom
Yeah,
Mazzetti
so
reference?
lifting card revoked. Yeah, gym membership canceled.
The video we did about is lifting gay is still amazing.
Well, there's a big interplay between those two things, right? the appreciation of the male physique.
Yeah, very true. Where you follow a bunch of dudes who
Well, that's what
don't wear clothes on Instagram,
exactly. I mean,
and people are
You're
like,
like,
"What
wow,
are you
they look
doing?"
good.
see a bunch of
Yeah.
beefy men on stage in their speedos, right? And you're just like, wow, amazing quad separation, right? And you're expected to just be like, yep, there's Nathan in public looking at naked men, right?
Pretty much. That's what I expect.
You would have a right to be like a little bit like, huh,
Yeah,
all right.
it's what I've come to
It's
expect.
not. It's not. I mean, I do it out of sheer appreciation for the
Sheer
sport.
appreciation of
Yeah.
the determination, the dedication, the no days off, the never giving up.
Yeah, never give up. Though only 5% of people,
Yeah.
the old
5%.
5%ers.
I love it.
I love how this podcast is going to be peppered with Rich references.
Oh yeah, we should just use him as the cover photo.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
probably
should.
will, to be honest.
Thinking that because I just thought it'd be funny if we had someone on and it was like, hey man, like do you like we do an intro song, like do you have any songs that mean something to you or whatever?
Natty
And
theme.
and then they'll be like, yeah, sure, play that. I'll be like, okay, and then just do like Airplanes by B.O.B. or something.
Just the most generic dubstep prank invasion intro. Oh yeah, you should do that. for
Something
sure.
like that.
Yeah, I would love that.
Trying to
But
think of the most stupid song ever.
but for mine, I really would appreciate the Natty theme.
Barbie Girl, Aqua for Nate.
No, Lollipop Aqua. Ooh,
Oh.
or Dr. Jones Aqua.
Ooh, Dr.
maybe-
Jones.
Mr. Vane by
Mr.
whoever's-
Vane's a great
yeah,
song.
that song.
By fucking Beat. Fuck, do you know what song? Do you know what song I'm talking about?
You brought it up the other time, the
Mr.
other night.
Vane.
Yeah,
One of you guys played it the other day.
Keep
I can't
talking.
remember who the artist is.
yeah. Get this video
or-
copy striked.
It's already copy strike. Don't even
Oh
worry
yeah,
about
we
it.
use copyright content all the time.
Okay.
We don't get enough views to get ads, so
Nice.
you actually have to. It's not even view, so it's views, but you actually have to have a certain number of subscribers before they'll actually pay you as well.
I thought it was minutes watched too, isn't there? Something like that.
It's a combination of all the above. I'm told.
Mm.
Culture Beat.
Who's this by?
Culture Beat.
Oh, this is like a different version.
No, this is the real version.
Oh, I already like it.
Oh yeah.
This is gonna be your song.
I would
It-
prefer Natty theme.
All right, fine. Be that way.
That song takes me back to. Do you guys remember like the go kart places and stuff at West Ed when we were like kids?
Oh, yeah.
like
Oh, yeah.
not Fantasyland. Actually, it was like a friend of ours. His dad owned them, but it was like
Oh,
like across from Galaxyland.
the
and
laser tag, and then
There was
I don't think I
laser
ever did the
tag,
go
There
karts.
was mini golf. There was golf, or not golf carts, bumper carts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to him? That's a good question. We'll have to talk about that after the podcast.
Yeah. I mean, those businesses always like they would be good for a while and then kind of
Yeah.
went under because the leases
Then
at the
lawsuit
mall-
because some kid loses an arm.
Yeah. It's like, shit.
Loses his vision because he gets shot in the eye by a laser
Yeah.
tag.
some shoddy mechanic work, and then some kid gets a brain injury, and then there you go.
Yeah. Did you know that those trampoline parks, kids break their legs at those a lot, but they're very good at keeping them quiet?
See, because that's the thing. There's no more perfect. That's like the perfect environment. Like, if you're trying to create ankle sprains and tibia fractures, like, that is actually
going back
what
to
you
earlier
do.
talking about controlling variables.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If you're, like, thinking in a think tank, you're like, how do I get the most younger kids to fracture their
get
ankles?
injured.
Then, like, that's it.
That's the
get
business
them
model.
like hyper in a group, right? So they're not really focusing on much, right? And they're all trying to show off in front of each other, play with their friends, tag, and like make it trampolines where you where you provide an insane surface for someone to have uncontrolled movement on.
Not only that, but put them in there with full-grown adults.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, yeah.
You have a recipe for fucking disaster.
Seriously. Oh
Yeah.
my god.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah.
no, there's a lot
Beautiful.
of
Give them a whole bunch of Pepsi before.
yeah. Well, it's all for like birthdays too
Oh,
and
yeah,
stuff, right? So
exactly.
they get a
So,
bunch
like-
of cake. They're like, yeah, let's jump.
Oh my god.
But I mean, seriously, if you think about it, you're like, wow, that's the perfect storm, right?
Yeah, that is for
Yeah.
stress
For,
fractures
for ankle injuries. Yeah, no,
in
seriously.
young children.
I would say that's my unprofessional opinion. Off the record.
That's funny.
Yeah.
You're on the fucking record,
Off
though.
the record, yeah.
Speaking of uncontrolled variables, let's talk about nutrition then, because that's going to be a big one.
Well, again, like from most of the stuff I've seen, I don't really know much.
Finish your point. I
Like-
was just thinking. Go
Because
ahead, go
like
ahead.
okay, so I always look into these things, right? Because each diet has its time at the limelight, and then has a few niche applications, and then fizzles out a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So like obviously these diets work for people. Let's say like keto, paleo, intermittent fasting, right? But like I mean, at the end of the day, I think most people, and I'm talking about like 98% of people, myself included in that proportion, I think you do well with just a calorie in, calorie out diet, making sure you keep your macros relatively balanced, and make sure you're following Canada's food guide. But actually though, right? I think that's good for most people in terms of
Yeah,
like, what
probably
you
for
want
most
to achieve.
people. Yeah.
And then if you are, let's say, bodybuilding and you want to focus on hypertrophy, increase meal frequency and make sure you're getting enough nutrients from muscle protein synthesis, right? There you go.
Do
That's
you
it.
say your thing?
Oh, I was gonna say, remember the Mark Riptoe or Rippletoe or whatever, the starting strength,
Riptoe, yeah.
where
5x5.
there was always the memes that were like, because he was the GOMAD guy.
But like
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
But then it was like normal people's ideal nutrition as like a meme, and it was like vegetables and meat and stuff. And it's like Riptoe's ideal nutrition. It was just a slice of pizza.
No, that was in 4 Hour Body too, right?
Yeah.
Is it 4 Hour Body? Yeah, that's
Maybe.
Tim Ferriss's book.
There's some of the stuff in that book that are kind of like...
It is,
Yeah,
but
I think
but
I listened to the audio, or no, I think I downloaded a free PDF of that book and read like half, and it was like,
or is it
this-
8 Hour Body?
4 hour.
Is it 4
I
Hour
think
Body?
it's
the
4
4 hour
hour
work
work week.
Oh, yeah.
That was
4
kind of his
4 hour
brand name or
chef.
whatever.
I see.
Yeah.
But
But 4 Hour Body, I was like, this sounds all completely stupid. Like it,
so,
just, yeah.
like I read it and
I had a
like,
buddy that actually gave it back for a refund.
so like so
Really?
it's interesting, right? Because there are some great nuggets there, right?
Yeah.
Like he could have gone in a little bit of a different direction for it, but he used a lot of anecdotal stuff too, right? So he talked to the gurus of certain fields and pulled certain things from it and did with other things. Lots of it research based, the other not necessarily, but it's there, right? And so I like that book in insofar as it was like it was kind of like a springboard. It was my first my first delving into some piece of literature for like a little bit more of to fuel my bro science, let's just say.
Yeah.
Right? And so now for my bro science I had people I talked to at the gym who looked bigger than me, plus Tim Ferriss. So I was slowly building my repertoire.
Your background of knowledge.
Yeah.
I get the whole minimum effective dose thing.
Yeah.
That makes sense to me, but at the same time, there's some stuff in there that you're just like,
What's your favorite nugget?
I'd have to go back and reread it, but there's a few years ago that I read it, and there was some stuff about the fast carb, slow carb stuff.
Yeah.
I actually don't mind that. I think that there's some merit to it as well. You don't want to be eating pure
processed,
sugar.
Yep.
It's probably better to be eating beans or
something with fiber or whatever,
exactly.
right? Yeah.
Because you were a vegetarian before.
Ooh,
We're gonna call you out. Yeah, we're gonna call you out.
Yeah.
Put him on the hot seat.
I was talking to people a lot about this actually, because depending on diet choice, you're actually like you get ostracized in school a little bit. I remember that was a big thing for me. Everyone thought I was like malnourished and I had weak bones and they couldn't like push me or something or else I would break. And like to be honest, with how I looked at the time, you might think that.
Yeah, but we all kind of looked like that at one point.
Yeah, but
definitely.
But anyways, yeah, no, I was
were
vegetarian.
You vegetarian for?
It was from birth till like.
Oh shit!
You spit out your water.
I was like, oh fuck. Yeah,
from birth
I
till
should
like.
have done a.
Just get a little mic spray.
Yeah.
No, from birth till I think like 16, 17.
Okay.
At least into high school.
Yeah.
And like occasionally I would have some fish too. So like it wasn't full vegetarian, and I would eat. Obviously, I would still eat cheese and whatever.
So pescatarian.
Pescatarian, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm.
But I still didn't have fish too much. Most of my meals were veg.
Did you eat eggs?
No.
Oh, okay.
I actually couldn't palate eggs for some reason. Really? So my parents would eat eggs and stuff like that, and my brother did too. But I actually just couldn't eat eggs. I hated the texture.
Yeah.
And now I love eggs.
Yeah, they're my favorite thing.
And I recently went for a physical, and my doctor's like, your cholesterol's like way too high.
Really? No way.
I was eating like 6 eggs a night. I was like 6.
I'm 4 a day, so maybe I should go look into
You should
that.
definitely get some of your triglycerides checked.
No. We know bro science is better than real science, and bro science says cholesterol is good.
Cholesterol good for testosterone. This is obviously everything's in a balance, but I might as well just eat 6 eggs a night, right?
There was a study that actually people with higher cholesterol live longer.
Wait, at night you eat them?
Well, I eat
Just
them.
scrambled eggs before bed.
Casein
I used to,
protein.
yeah.
There's casein in them, isn't there?
Yeah, I think there is a slow release.
That's why you eat cottage cheese at night, bro.
Casein.
Jeez.
I used to actually get like casein whey. Right?
I did too. And then I had 2
I don't think I ever
bottles
bought
of
that,
whey.
but I do. I remember when that was all the debate.
And I
I
had
remember
2 bottles, and my mom was like, fucking get rid of one of these.
And you're like, okay.
Okay, Mom.
Oh, Mom.
You're like, sure.
I had a buddy who had his entire Lazy Susan in the corner of his, like, you know who I'm talking about, in the corner of his kitchen, full of supplements.
Oh, yeah.
You know who I'm talking about.
Maybe I
I
do.
think I have a
You know
reasonable
who I'm
guess,
talking about.
but
Yeah, but there's straight, like, fucking mass gainer, straight Synthesix protein.
Synthesix?
He would put protein from other proteins into the Synthesix because it had the coolest.
Yeah.
It had the coolest looking bottle.
Yeah. No,
So-
Synthesix was big too, because Ronnie Coleman was like big into like sponsoring Synthesix, and
Yeah.
he'd have like, what, like 6 scoops per shake, and I was like, wow, that's like a $20 shake. But
To his credit, though, he was probably the biggest kid I knew at the time.
the person you're talking
Yeah, the
about.
person I'm talking about. So.
Sure, I'm not 100% sure I know who you're talking about, so I can't necessarily agree. But he
Okay.
probably was.
Fair enough.
No, supplement game is something that's actually quite interesting, right?
Yeah.
And it's changed a lot for me. I've been on so many bandwagons with that because it's so much hearsay and you don't-
raspberry ketones.
yeah, baby.
Yeah.
And you don't really know. Well, that's where bro science is can heavily influence you, right?
I feel like you test shit out, and if it works, you keep doing it. If it doesn't work, you stop doing it.
Yeah.
That's kind of my whole take on it.
Sure. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
that's. I think. Well, that's just what the standard is, right?
Yeah.
In terms of taking someone's anecdotal evidence.
Yeah. Well, that's nutrition too, because I feel like you can't point down to a perfect diet for the entire human population.
Oh, no, there's no way.
No, I feel like there's certain people with different genetic backgrounds that are more inclined to a Mediterranean diet, and then there's the Inuit who can eat whale blubber and be totally fine forever, right?
I'm ready to see Inuit diet, Josh. Can't wait.
Well, you know what? I did do the whole like carb cycling and stuff, and for me, it got me to the leanest I've ever been.
Yeah.
For me, carbohydrates hit me quite hard, so I don't have them before my shake in the afternoon. I only eat fats and proteins in the morning.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Because then I don't get a huge insulin spike.
I see. Okay.
There's obviously insulin, but there's not a big spike and a crash.
Yeah.
So
interesting.
yeah.
And again, I don't have a lot to say about that.
Yeah.
It's more so like you find out what works for you, right? Yeah. And then you go off of basic. Well, since I can't really give much detailed advice, you just go off basic.
Yeah. Well, you're not a nutrtionist. You're a physiotherapist.
So. I can't.
I'm just asking like more what you do.
But for me personally, it's more becomes like the way I like the theory going in is going to be just calories in v calories out.
Yeah.
You do your best to approximate without wanting to blow your brains out because of how tedious it actually is to measure every single calorie you eat.
Weighing and measuring your food and all
exactly.
that. Yeah, I've never done that. Never will.
So it's just a bit of a balance, right?
For dinner, yeah.
And mine has now, my focus since I've started working more is going to be I'm just ensuring that I get a nice clean source of protein in as consistently as possible as I can throughout the day. Keep that anabolism going. And because normally, well, for my recent diet has essentially been not eating for most of the day and then just absolutely gorging at the end of the day.
Well, the whole fucking eat every 3 hours is bullshit because humans wouldn't have survived as a species if that was an
true.
Oh, there's a good point. That's
effective
a good point,
way of eating.
You're right,
There's
obviously. Well,
points of feast, points of famine, right?
If you're thinking about the hunter-gatherer, yes.
I would say, like,
right?
the only time
or how people evolved, really. Right?
Yes,
So.
but
yeah.
I listened to another podcast about this recently.
You listen to other podcasts?
Whoa.
I think his name was Thomas Harrington. And he was talking about diet.
You have a diet podcast?
Yeah, apparently.
Who knows with you guys now?
Yeah.
They're creating podcasts like they're going out of style. So,
They are, bro. That's what you gotta
The
do.
podcast network.
Before that
you
fucking...
should create your own Netflix, but with your own podcast.
Before the fucking Neuralink hits in and everybody just shares thoughts that way. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's in terms of when I asked you what we want to talk about, that was pretty much the only thing you said was Neuralink.
Did you watch the intro and everything?
No, I read the paper on it.
Yeah.
Did you actually read the whole paper?
I did. It's only 8 pages.
I kind of... oh, really? I just glossed through the...
Well, they just implanted it in some mice, and they're like, yeah, this is a thing now. And you're like,
What's your take on it?
So
after reading the paper?
What is the goal of Neuralink? Like, is it meant to be an interface so you can look at your phone and just think about it, and your phone will...
No,
operate?
I thought the application... Well, from what I was reading...
Yeah, what's the day one application, I guess?
Well, it's just a new... Man, I want to use foray. I want to use that word in, like, every single thing. Well, it's an advancement on the ability to measure brainwaves, right?
The technology already exists. If you've ever seen... There are quadriplegics where they do these deep brain stimulations, and they actually are able to control a robotic hand to feed them or something.
Yeah.
That technology exists. It feels like they're building a better mousetrap and going 10x on it and just really going a lot deeper with a much less invasive surgery.
So Neuralink doesn't really have an application. It's just it's
going to be
raw technology, and then people develop stuff for it.
Their application, my understanding, is for initially will be for quadriplegics and paraplegics to help them with.
Yeah, I would say
utilizing devices.
I would say, Tom, I would actually say you're correct in what you're saying, right? Because it is a technological advancement.
Yeah.
And in the context it was laid forward, it was almost like a progression in terms of a way to accurately measure and record high levels of brain activity.
Yeah.
And so you could do with that a lot. Not just quadriplegic, paraplegic, but they use that as an example in terms of like DBS, right?
Yeah.
Because the technology they use for DBS now is at a certain level, and they can get certain refined movements out of it, but it's invasive and it harms vasculature, and like there you go. It's not necessarily easy to do.
I think the most effective application they have right now is cochlear implants.
Oh, I see. They use
Well, they use similar technology for like relearning how to hear for people that are deaf, for example.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in the initial stages, it seems to be a medical application and trying to give back some function to these people that are in that state.
Sure. Yeah.
To me, which is very interesting, obviously. But
Oh well, that would be very interesting to you.
yeah, absolutely. So, yeah.
Yeah. No, it's really interesting. I think it's I'm after and it brought up in the article too the other ways of measuring brain activity, essentially, right?
Yeah.
I'm interested in it, especially for like a research perspective too, right? Because if you go to any university and you go into their neuroscience department or psychology department, it'll be a lot of they use those EEG caps, right, and get random summations of brain activity, and the more accurately you can measure activity in the brain, and the more comprehensively you can do that with less invasiveness, is like huge for any type of thing you want to study to do with neuroscience, right? That's massive. That's a big change, and if they can make that technology readily available. Then that's a huge advancement for essentially any research involving localization of function in the brain or anything like that, right?
Yeah.
That's going to be great when you're comparing like EEG, electroencephalography, caps, and like you're just getting a general idea of random brain activity.
Yeah, or fMRIs, which are just stupid.
And I was just like, how do you really... I'm like, you can... I'm sure, and I haven't done any research there, so I can't necessarily claim to know, but I was like, there's a lot of stuff going on there, and it's like a lot of different, lots of brain activity in a small space. So like, how can you really be sure about what's happening in that one iota, right? And how can you make inferences off basis off of
Well, that's
that?
where they're building algorithms around it to catch...
Just the algorithms,
to catch spikes, which is fascinating to me. I think a lot of people went the direction with it as in it becoming some sort of Black Mirror episode where you are interfacing with computers and able to,
Well, it's dumb.
Yeah.
You read the article and you're like, well, we have a lot of this technology. It actually refines it and makes it more...
Better.
Better, right?
Yeah.
But that's... Well, when you read the headlines about it, it's like, oh, wow. Are we installing AIs into the human brain, right? It's like, well, no, this has more processing power and has more recording capability, right? But, I mean, me integrating with Cortana from Halo isn't really...
Isn't quite there yet.
It's not really there, but,
Chief.
I mean... Chief! First crush.
First crush?
Oh, yeah.
2001? Yeah, probably.
I'm just trying to think of how old I was.
9 years old? Yeah,
No.
probably.
No.
That's funny.
But yeah, no, that does... I always harken back to my undergrad with all that neuro stuff, right?
Yeah. Well, my brother's in psychology, so...
Oh, 2001, you nailed it.
Yeah, I wanted his take on it too. I know my fucking Halo games. That was my series. But
What was Jake's take on it?
I don't think you read the white paper yet, so I'll see what he's up to. But
Yeah, I mean it's interesting, but I just don't know if it's like what it's touted to be in popular media.
There's some hype around it in that. Well, we're gonna it's gonna be like the fucking Matrix, where it's like, do you know how to fly that helicopter? Not yet. And then they just fucking download the...
But yeah, that's like me creating the wheel and saying I'm going to be driving a car around in a few years, right?
Yeah.
It's certainly a base for that technology, but a lot needs to happen.
It's very early, I guess.
It's early,
summation.
right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It's like Grug making stone wheel, and I'm like, oh,
Put a motor
on it,
four
and
of
like I have a picture of the stone wheel, and I'm like, braking invention. Nathan creates automobile, and it's just a fucking wheel. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
There's a lot of stuff that.
So kind of the clickbaitiness of the titles, because to go from what Neuralink is now, that's a huge leap to...
I feel it is,
Yeah.
but maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, who knows?
I think that Elon is a very good marketer. Let's put it that
Oh,
way.
Yeah.
Elon is he's a fantastic guy. I enjoy
Yeah.
Elon's stuff all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Following his Twitter is just
Yeah.
a
Hilarious.
treat.
Yeah.
Right?
But I think he's a very good marketer.
Well, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure. I think he's good at a lot of things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, I wanted to know what your take was on it because you probably have a little bit more background in this space.
Well, I mean, in a way, yes, in a formalized education way, but like,
Oh, we're gonna get into this. Boom, boom, boom,
But not
boom, boom.
Interesting choice of words. Nathan.
well, but I mean, I can't claim to know much about it. Like, I did a part of my undergrad in neuro and science psych, right? So,
Yeah.
like, I mean, it's there. But I mean, could I quote much current literature to you? Probably not.
Yeah.
I've been focusing on other things in my formalized
Yeah.
education.
I'm pretty sure I have probably a PhD from my.
In my formalized education.
When it comes to neuro stuff, I'm pretty sure I have a PhD in spinal cord injury. Cause
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I would if I had one.
You lie in bed in the hospital. There's not much else to do.
You're like,
so.
what's prognosis? What's prognosis? What's prognosis?
How do I get better?
Will I be able to get an erection?
Is jerking off possible?
We won't talk about those stories on the podcast, but
Of course, but
Yeah.
they're a part of it too, right? That's,
It does
that's
make
a
sense to
huge
be a legitimate
portion of it,
concern,
right?
So,
You're a sexual being. That's a big part of your identity as a man, and right
yeah, this is true.
yeah, as a human.
There's a funny
as a human.
there's a very
being.
funny story involving a nurse that I won't go into. That,
Yeah, just for my sake, let's not do it.
yeah.
But yeah, you'd have a right to be like fascinated by that, and
Oh,
you want to
100%.
scour all the literature, and then you'll go to your doctor and be like, "Have you read this? Look at this."
Yeah.
You know what, dude? Is because when I came back from the injury and I was in Edmonton and they put me in the MIS and I was in I was in an orthopedic ward, right? They don't have a neuro ward there, to my knowledge.
I see. Okay.
So they had no fucking idea about anything when it came to
Really?
that injury. Yeah.
Huh.
So my nurses were amazing, and they were actually going home at night and reading literature on it, and like, well, this is how we should actually be doing these sort of things. And,
Interesting. I know they have a neurophysio clinic at the Miz.
yeah. Well, the MIS for physio is actually quite good,
Mm-hmm.
like really good. So
Yeah, they had some good neurospecialty people there. Anyways, from what I recall,
yeah.
when I was there I had a clinical placement there for like a week. So I was like, wow, and then left.
Wow, crash course.
Wow,
come on.
cool. No,
Kick you out.
Yeah,
On to the next one.
yeah.
Why
But
is it so short?
Because you have to do like 6.
it depends. So like certain placements in the physiotherapy program, they'll be like the early few placements. They start off as like 1 to 2 week,
Oh, okay.
and then
Just
just like a little tiny
toe
blip
in
when
water.
you don't really know a lot, and
Mhm.
you're just getting started with your introductory courses in physio, and then the placements soon become 6-week bouts, and I think you have like, I've already forgot how many I did, like 5.
Do they do that more for you to develop an interest in a certain space,
I mean,
like cardiac or?
yeah, because you do for each aspect of physio, you have to do it in each field. So you have to
Right.
do cardiorespiratory placement, you have
Yeah.
to do a neuro placement, you have to do some sort of community physio placement, and I don't know if it's a requirement, but yeah, neuro and private, and so you have to do that.
Yeah.
So they do make you get a good idea of what you want in terms of a field, probably.
Mhm.
But a lot of it's clinical experience, right? And lots of what's in physio, it's very difficult. Well, you could teach it, right? But I felt this heavily going through the program, and it's like you need to know the context in which you're applying your clinical deduction and things like that. If you don't, it makes it difficult for the learning to stick. So that's what I think placement is really, really good for. But
Gotcha.
anyways, but yeah, really cool neuro stuff.
Yeah, most definitely. For an occupational therapist, do they have to go through similar education for physio, or is it the same amount of schooling?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a master's. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And different requirements to get into the program. I think that's slightly different.
I feel like I feel like for occupational, you'd have to have almost like a higher patience level.
Oh, it's tricky to say because the duties or the requirements are so different from place to place, right?
Yeah.
Because I know depending on where you work, physios will do one thing and occupational therapists will do another. And like in some hospitals, they split it up upper and lower body. So,
really interesting.
like I remember, I think Glenrose was like that, and PTs did lower body,
Yeah.
and then OTs did upper body. I was like, well, we learn about the whole body.
Yeah. Yeah. No kidding.
But you know,
Right,
a lot
yeah.
of the things associated with motor function in the upper extremity involve more equipment, bracing,
Yeah.
whatever, right? Whatever it may be. So hospitals have found it's easy to be like, oh, OTs, you're going to do upper body, PTs, lower body. I was like, well, it's a little bit of a quick and dirty way to do it.
Interesting.
But I mean,
Isn't
it
OT
works.
more about like
Getting-
teaching someone to like make a cup of coffee
Yeah.
and like more severe
Getting back
injuries
to
and
your-
stuff?
Yeah,
and,
it's
yeah.
Getting back to like living in real life.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it's functional applications of these things with like outside of the system of the body a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like physio, let's say you break your leg. Well, so physio's focus is going to be on, let's say, ability to walk with like surrounding muscle and like retraining muscle tissue after immobilization and things like that. And OTs will be like, okay, so you have to live your life at home. What kind of supports will you need,
Yeah.
right? So, like, okay, you're going into a vulnerable place. You don't have shower supports. You don't have you won't be able to reach certain things. You have to and like braces and things like that to immobilize you and things like. Honestly, I can't really speak to it a lot since I haven't.
I can't either because when I was in there, I didn't have very much occupational. It was all physio.
Well, yeah, and that's heavily muscle function based, right?
Yeah. Occupational for me, they're like, oh, you're a strong 20-year-old.
Yeah, and
You'll figure your shit out.
and you know what to do, right? And
Yeah.
I
in
guess,
terms,
yeah.
in terms of the level of your injury, and
Yeah.
like maybe if you were, let's say, more so higher in the Asia category, they may have had more of a role for you after,
Perhaps,
right?
yeah.
Let's say you're in Asia B, right? Then
Yeah.
they may have had to.
What B? What is that word?
It's oh geez, I can't remember what the acronym
It's
is.
an
It's a
acronym
way to
for
classify spinal
Injuries?
cord injuries
Oh,
and
okay.
and prognosis post.
You want to be as far away from A as possible.
Yeah, you want to be like a D or an E.
Okay.
I think
Does,
E is full function.
yeah.
I
And
think-
then D is some residual deficit, I
Yeah.
think. And
Yeah.
honestly, I should really know since I did just recently write my
Yeah.
national certification exam.
Non-formal education.
Yeah. Ooh, point for non-formal education. Ding, 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 ding.
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
But,
I was a C.
You were a C. Okay.
I was a
Will
C.
this same card be fine still, Josh, or should I put in the other one?
No, that card should be fine. Yeah. Yeah, so I was a C.
Okay, well, that's not bad.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. You're doing pretty well.
I'm doing all right.
Yeah, I would say you're doing
No, wait,
actually quite well.
I'll need the other one. The
Okay.
one that says there's a minute left.
Sure. Here you go.
Oh, almost made it.
He wasn't even tracking that.
Well, then I was pulling this one
I
out.
wasn't even tracking that.
I was pulling this one out, and I'm like,
Oh.
I might be able to get both.
Yeah, for a C, like, yeah.
It's good for a C. Yeah, I honestly assumed you were a D.
Yeah.
I was like, that's a D.
That's a D.
That's a D right there.
Yeah. I think some of my muscles are probably E now, but I don't know. There's definitely some that are still D, maybe even C. So
Yeah, interesting.
yeah,
We can talk about that more later.
yeah, most definitely.
Yeah.
I'm just giving it a thumbs up to the camera because we're good. We were recording through the whole thing. so-
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
We got it.
Wow.
Don't you worry, Nate. I'm the fucking king of transitions when it comes to video editing. Don't
I
you
can't
worry
wait till
about-
to see the slow
Fade.
cube fade.
Well, it's not
like
even
they do in
be that.
PowerPoint
It's gonna
Oh,
be
presentations.
yeah, like from one corner to the other. You should do that, actually. That'd be way
I don't know if
funnier.
it has it.
Yeah.
Maybe where it like flips.
It like,
whoop. Yeah,
or,
that's so
or it
good.
like
Yeah, yeah.
flips off to the side.
Where
Yeah.
it has like 10 different things that
Yeah,
come
yeah,
down. Yeah. No, essentially
We
what
should
it will
just
be.
do. What we should actually do is the Joe Rogan snow effect over the whole episode. Have you ever seen that?
I don't think so.
His like early episodes, for some reason, it was like you know how there were like webcam filters, like there still are on like a the Mac one where it does like a roller coaster behind you or whatever, right? Like early ones of that, it would be like it would look like it was snowing, and for some reason Joe Rogan recorded his early podcast with just this weird snow overlay on every episode, like it wasn't even wintertime.
That's great. Where's your guys' unique feature?
I don't know if Shotcut can do that, so we'll see.
It better be able to, and you better have the Natty theme playing
The entire episode.
The entire episode.
We should
or
just have
when
we
Tom
should have,
talks only.
We should have the intro. We should have the first like 16 bars of Mr. Vane just looping.
I'm actually going to be so disappointed if you don't have the Natty theme.
Don't you worry. We'll get you.
Oh, yeah.
No, the transition will be more like it'll cut, then it'll be our logo, and then it will fade back into the video because I haven't figured out how to merge the two. Especially if there's audio in between, there's pretty much nothing you can do.
Oh, I see.
Video or editor extraordinaire right here.
Yeah, those are good, honestly.
Yeah. Hey, man, my audio editing is pretty good because I can do for Audacity, literally you to do the fade in and fade out of the different audios.
Yeah.
You literally select the last tail end of it and just click fade out, and it'll drop it.
Sweet.
Yeah.
No, honestly, it's a big deal. The editing is a big deal. I've seen a lot of, if I'm perusing YouTube, right? A lot of the really popular guys that I enjoy watching, they have fantastic editing, and very good comedic timing on the editing itself.
Yeah, that's a big part of it,
right?
For sure.
I was like, wow, this video wouldn't have been funny unless the editor was on his game and knew exactly what he wanted to do with humor, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's actually fantastic.
Yeah.
I was stunned by that snap editing and those either quick transitions or quick memes.
Or once you exactly, the more you know about it, especially because video editing is fairly hard, frankly.
It's if you discipline.
Don't it is a unique.
Both my parents are editors by trade.
Yeah.
Oh really? Oh. Yeah. Well then. Are they looking for any pro bono side work?
To be honest, maybe.
Oh boy, moving up in the
production value increasing.
This is actually hilarious.
Mr. Schmidt, can you help?
My mom just retired, I think. So.
Oh really?
Yeah.
She might be a little bit bored. Throw her a couple long and hard episodes.
Honestly, you can see what she wanted to do. Oh my goodness!
Interesting.
Because that's what we're competing with in Edmonton right now. There's a couple other podcasts. They're video editing much better than ours.
Much better video editors.
So what aspects of their editing?
Just ability to throw text in and doing shifts and camera angles and all that.
And then also part of it is kind of I would say the hardware aspect of knowing how to have multiple cameras and then doing the cuts between cameras. So ideally, in a perfect world, we'd have one there facing both of us, and then I could transition.
Oh, we could come back and forth,
talking.
like J Rogues.
Well, yeah,
exactly.
So when you're talking,
boop,
when we're talking, boop,
exactly.
Wow, that increases Tom's work exponentially. I would say.
Oh, to edit one of these is probably an hour each.
Yeah,
and that's basic bitch editing.
Wow.
That's not full on.
And then
editing,
and then for me to do the clips I do for Instagram, it's a fairly idiot-proof software that we use, but it is quite tedious, right?
It is.
Subtitles is the hardest. So
I couldn't imagine being do you ever watch Casey Neistat or anything on YouTube?
No, I've heard of him though.
Oh, or Pewdiepie has
Huge.
but he has editors. He has a couple editors, but those guys
watch that mentioning of that political figure on this podcast.
Oh yeah.
Have you seen his Minecraft playthroughs? Very.
Anyway,
but point being, those guys must spend just their editors are very good. Yeah. And then B, they must
also
spend hours and hours.
They also know them really well and their comedy really well.
Exactly.
Timing.
Yeah. They're you need someone specific on on staff if you will.
When I was referencing that prior, it was mainly I had Pewd's videos in mind.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. No, that's a big part of it, right?
Yeah.
So
the only reason I mentioned Neistat though is because he was at one point shooting a video a day, editing it and uploading it the next day.
Yeah.
Like, that was all he was doing.
A big guy like that is H3H3 too.
Yeah,
Ethan
yeah,
Klein.
exactly. Yeah.
Like that's his videos are so good because of like that crisp, quick wit and editing and
Editing makes a
in
big
combination,
difference,
right?
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah. But I think that the video aspect does play into this a lot more.
This is as soon as we added this version of video versus like the webcam stuff we were doing, it has dramatically increased viewership and listens, and people have just commented on it a lot, right? Like,
interesting.
They like actually seeing you. Like,
Oh.
it's a fairly known. Oh yeah, logo to camera,
And then I need to just get this over my shorts.
Yeah, you
people
look like you're
the
wearing
whole
a
time they're
fucking
like,
dress.
they're like, is he wearing pants?
I need don't.
See, these are the strategies you need to employ.
Yeah,
Or I was
this
even
is-
just
watch till
looking- Oh yeah. All right, hang on. Yeah, I was like, don't move to the.
Wonder when it'll fall over.
Oh my god.
Big Chungus breaks the couch. That's gonna be a fucking clip, man.
Oh, Andy didn't close the door.
That is so funny.
Oh
man.
no!
Yeah.
Oops.
Maybe we'll get one of the hosts.
The
sit
door
on
to
that
the
couch.
mystery room back here.
The mystery room, where we just each individually go once an episode. And...
Who knows what's back there? Oh man.
Oh boy.
Gotta be careful shifting around.
Yeah, I know. I look relaxed right now, but really my whole core is
super
tense.
tense just right now.
Core is fully tense.
He's just sweating, man. He's gonna lift his arm. It's gonna be fucking just drenched.
Yeah.
Anxiety about the couch.
Yeah, honestly.
That is too funny.
I didn't think I'd have to worry about that. Thought I'd have to worry about some tough questions.
We're not really good at those, to be honest.
No, they're hard to
We
be
don't
good
really ask questions.
We just have
per se.
conversations,
Yeah.
I would say.
at. Do you have any grilling questions?
For Nate?
Yeah.
Grill him. Grill this guy. Grill this guy like a cheap fucking burger.
Ask me how I got my teeth this white.
We don't take fucking underhand pitches from guests.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We don't give those out either.
Just little lobs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just nice little lobs. Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah.
He's like, fuck.
Ask it, yeah. This isn't morning TV, okay? We
Maybe more people would watch if it was.
Ooh, called
Ooh.
out. Called
Our viewership is growing at a steady rate. Just so you know. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, maybe if you had
Thank you.
big names like Dylan Ferrance on.
Dude, that has 69 views today, so.
I also watched it, actually.
Yeah.
I did,
How'd you like it? Pretty decent episode. There's some laughs.
There were some good laughs. I enjoyed it. It's,
I think there's some inside jokes too, though. That only
I tried. That's what I tried. See, I tried to get away from those, and then
Yeah.
I also there were a few where I like backpedaled and had to tell a story from the start because I was like,
But you do what you have to get
Yeah.
the conversation going.
oh,
right?
for sure.
But it was funny because Quentin listens to a lot of podcasts at his work because he's a little lab rat.
Yeah.
And so he has time, and he's listened to almost, I would say, 50% of the podcasts on iTunes.
okay.
Like he's just constantly listening to podcasts.
Yeah.
Does he listen to ours?
Yeah, I think he does from
Oh,
time to time.
sweet.
Yeah.
Probably listens to Call Me Daddy.
Call her daddy.
Call her daddy.
Yeah.
Oh, is that you were bringing up a group chat? I had no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, I
These
don't know.
two chicks have Barstool. I don't know. I've listened to it. It's not bad. It's funny.
Barstool Sports.
Yeah, like they're under the brand or whatever.
I mean, sure. I mean, if people are watching, then whatever.
But I mean, if
They're
they're
one
making
of.
money,
I
there you
think
go.
they might have surpassed Joe Rogan for subscribers or something like that.
Well, yeah,
Well-
Joe Rogan. To be honest, like Joe Rogan's had some fascinating guests on.
Yeah, but he
Like-
also has some like friends of the show where you're just like,
Yeah.
what are they talking
Yeah,
about?
but he's got to harken back to his old viewership, right? But I mean, like
That's a good point.
the
yeah.
the one thing that I just find a little bit annoying, and this is what I noticed when he had like Matthew Walker on, like these really great like leaders in science in certain fields, and like he just doesn't hit the things that really they're like, okay, you got to get a little bit deeper in there, not just talk about sleep in the context of weed, Joe. You know?
Yeah.
Like that's. Sorry, I just need more water.
I'm like, sorry, where are you going?
I just need more water.
Guess leaving.
I'm leaving.
In the middle.
I felt like that was a good.
I felt like that was a good.
So,
good
anyways,
show
Josh,
and cut.
how are you?
I'm good. How about yourself? No, that is a good point. I feel that
Okay, I could see that.
he's also a good interviewer, though, in that he doesn't really give his biases or opinions.
No, well, he's great because of that, right?
Yeah.
He just, I think, in some topics, he just.
See, because I actually really, the Matthew Walker episode, I really enjoyed that one. Like, yeah, but it was like a surface level thing. Like, you would kind of, if you took it seriously, you'd need to like run with it. And
But then it was like, oh, I'm going to read the book. And then I read the book and it was like, wow, that was fantastic, right?
Oh, you would recommend the book, hey?
Oh, yeah, it was great, yeah.
Okay.
You
What's it called for our viewers?
Why Do We Sleep?
Okay.
something like that.
Yeah,
Okay.
that would...
By Dr. Matthew Walker. No, he's it's great, right? And plus having
that's why
someone who's so able to let's say focus so much of his life into literature and those things, who's also so articulate and able to like write so well, I think is like it's pretty unique. So like there's a lot of people who are smart enough to stay in those fields of research and get so nitty gritty with it, but like being
Like
able
to be able to present it well.
yeah, being able to do that and present it well to the layperson is like I think that's insane, right? That's incredible.
Yeah.
Definitely.
He's not like Stephen Hawking, where you're just like reading On the Shoulders of Giants.
Yeah, I tried. I was like,
I bought
Have
that.
you guys tried to read that?
Yeah.
I bought that for my bookcase just to look smart.
yeah, no, I did too, and I actually
It's like this fucking
Oh yeah.
I
yeah.
quite-
1,500 page book.
and so like out of my interest for like Copernicus and stuff like that, I was like actually trying to really read into it,
yeah.
and like it lost me after like introductory spots, right? I was like, well, I might need more of a background here to actually really get this.
Might need more IQ.
A few more IQs.
Yeah, a couple more.
But yeah, that
A
was
couple PhDs and
that was one of my yeah.
Well, the equations, because they go through pages and pages and pages of equations.
Yeah.
Just to
Oh,
prove,
really?
yeah, to prove the
Well,
theories.
they're proofs, right?
They
So
are
Gotcha.
proofs, yeah.
Okay.
they're essentially proofs.
So you're reading it and you're just like,
Yeah.
Well, what I don't get is like Copernicus wrote that to like clergymen, right?
Yeah.
To obviously prove his theory of heliocentricity.
yeah.
And I was like, what? How did a church guy understand this shit? I was like, I don't get this.
It's like the Earth goes around the sun. That's all you should have said, man. You didn't have to go through all the mathematics.
They're like, just tell me, bud.
Yeah, it's just
Copernicus, my boy. I would have
cut to the
believed you.
fucking chase, man.
It's yeah.
Man, he had like all this shadow stuff, and I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
But if you think about that now, especially with like what all that flat Earth, that trend, right?
Yeah.
If someone who really wants to like, how do you know the Earth revolves around the sun, right?
Mm-hmm.
For the average person, you might be like, oh, I don't know, it just does, right? I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, they're like, how do you really know the Earth?
Well, that's the only real argument is like, well, you haven't seen it.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. Well, it's a big thing, right? But if you
Yeah.
think about the scientific arguments as to why, there's probably a few easy ones
Yeah.
that I haven't really bothered to think of. But if someone really wanted to put you on the spot, who's been thinking their whole life about flat Earth conspiracy, there's
Whole life. This is like a 5-year-old or like.
oh, those are the
5-month-old
people who
thing.
are. I watched a documentary on.
Oh,
it.
yeah.
There's
No,
the
it's
people
a
who are
lifelong
big
thing.
into it, but it's
Yeah.
it's gotten like huge. They had a
More
flat Earth
mainstream.
convention here,
Yeah, they did. Yeah, I drove past. There's still a sign for it on the highway that I drove past.
and I was hoping to buy a
Recently.
shirt, but it was like
Yeah.
very expensive to go.
Just a shirt. Don't they have their own website?
Oh, they
Guys are
probably do.
slacking on merch. Need
Yeah,
to
I know.
monetize better.
Flat Earth.
See, that's yet another one of my potential gym shirts would be a flat Earth shirt.
That'd be funny.
It's for the
actually.
meme.
That'd be
for
good.
the meme.
Yeah.
I think it's like reverse Occam's razor.
Yeah.
It's like it's just so simple. It has to be true.
Yeah, but that's
Yeah,
that's
yeah. That's a good way.
but
of
that's
putting that.
also like an appealing mentality to have, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. It harkens to something.
Well, it also, speaking of Joe Rogan, he always talks about this of like the problem with conspiracy theories is like it kind of attracts a certain type in a way where you like want to have like inside knowledge that other people don't have, and there's no one who believes in like one conspiracy theory. Like you believe all of them or none.
You could say it's a certain personality type, or
for sure.
100%. Yeah, I think that that has some.
So, anyways, we go in Arizona to storm Area 51 or what?
Yeah, what the hell is that about? I don't know. I've been seeing it everywhere, but I don't know.
Oh, you don't know what it... So, do you know who Bob Lazar is?
No.
Oh, so he's a guy who was a scientist that worked at Area 51, and he was like one of the first people who publicly, told the public about Area 51 in like the 80s or whatever, right? And that, like, before it was common knowledge, like he kind of uncovered it. Okay. And so he's actually been around for a long time, but recently there's a new Netflix documentary on him, and he was on like Joe Rogan and sort of did the podcast tour too, discussing about his experience there. And he's very like believes in aliens, claims to have worked on like extraterrestrial like spaceships.
Ooh,
UFOs. And then he's talked about it since the 80s and stuff, and I don't know, it's kind of interesting. And then it's interesting, I didn't listen to the full episode, but I probably watched about half the documentary and half the episode of Joe Rogan, so maybe should finish it, but
I am now an Area 51 expert.
So anyways,
intergalactic.
So now there's all this talk about Area 51. It's kind of a refocus thing. So now someone made a Facebook event in like, I think it's in September or something, where they're just like gonna storm Area 51 because they're like, if we all run at it, they can't stop all of us.
I saw 4chan green text about that,
and the tagline is like, we're gonna storm Area 51 so we can see dim aliens.
See, that's the beautiful, whimsical nature of memes. There it is. That's funny.
Yeah. The best was someone made like a layout, like an aerial shot of Area 51, but took it and made it like a music festival layout. So it was like general campaign, VIP campaign.
Holy shit.
You're just like, well, how? Why? Why are you doing this? I enjoy that.
I wonder if people are like actually gonna, because there's like hundreds of thousands of people who have responded to the event.
They've done it for the memes. It's not gonna happen.
There's got to be at least.
There's going to be
a
few thousand people.
There at least has to be like 12 people who go bare minimum.
Well, there's going to be some people who take it seriously, and a lot of people are doing it for the memes, right?
Yeah.
Some people don't understand memes though. In that, like there are people that think for reals when it's supposed to be a meme. Like there's some people that don't understand satire and comedy.
Yeah.
And that's who this is gonna. That's gonna be those people.
They don't understand Big Chungus.
Storm Area 51 creator says it's gotten so big he's worried about the FBI.
Yeah, okay. Well, this is like the Sonic movie thing too, where memes become reality. In terms of, you remember with the new Sonic movie, the new CGI Sonic was like
everyone was hilariously really bad or whatever. Yeah.
Like, he just looked really weird and not like Sonic.
Okay, I didn't know this.
You didn't
1.9 million going, 1.4 million interested. And then, like, there's got to be at least a few people who go.
There's going to be at least 10.
Like 10 or 12.
You know what? Actually, no, because you remember Kony, fucking 2012, where they were going to, like, fucking paint the night with posters and all that stuff? Nobody showed up for that. And that was a huge viral event.
Like in Edmonton or everywhere?
Around the world.
Oh, okay.
And then the guy...
But like, wasn't that... But he got busted for like public masturbation.
Yeah, the guy...
What?
You didn't know that?
That's why Kony 12 lost steam, because the main guy was like...
He got arrested for public masturbation.
You want to know how to kill a meme? There it is.
Yeah, everyone's like, oh, never mind.
You're like, I don't think I can get on board with that.
Yeah, it's like, oh, well, Kony can get away this time. Oh, boy.
Kony 20.
Kony, they're coming for you.
Honestly, I totally forget that.
That was huge, man. That was like the
was
first
very good.
viral YouTube video. I won't say that, but
I think
it was
a bit
like
of a stretch.
for a underlying event. I would say that was probably the first viral video.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about fucking chocolate rain or
Chocolate rain.
That's pretty good. I do kind of.
Oh, I got a from Tom. A swift nose exhale.
That was.
You should be pretty impressed with that, bro.
What are you talking about?
That means
I'm
breathes away from the mic.
turns my
Chocolate rain. Yeah.
turn my mouth away from the mic to breathe.
Oh boy,
I remember that. Oh, that was great. And South
Back
Park
when, like-
spoofed that too.
Yeah, but back when like YouTube, like there were seriously like 100 videos on YouTube, so you had seen all of them. Like that was it, right?
I don't think I was on there
Yeah.
that early.
I was on there pretty early.
Oh, non-OG YouTuber.
Yeah, I'm not going to claim I was on there super early.
I was on there pretty early.
I was busy downloading my music off of LimeWire and
Yeah, that was like grade 1, dude.
Oh yeah.
yeah. No.
Did anyone ever use FrostWire?
I
I did after LimeWire
Yeah.
like went kaput for a while,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like banned?
I even used Napster to
Yeah.
begin with.
Really?
Criminal.
I was the
My
fucking OG dude.
my parents used Napster. I did like we were.
This is a crime syndicate family, Tom?
Yeah.
Quick, call the feds.
You got to download that "In the End" by Linkin Park.
What was that? Oh, there's that one Linkin Park song that guy just posted, and he's like, I forget. He asked a question. He's like, "Guys, how do I download new music or something like that?" And he just showed Linkin Park. In the end, it had like 56,000 plays. It was his
on his iTunes.
on
or
his
whatever?
iTunes image. Yeah, it's a great one. I love
Dude,
that.
my entire childhood ended when he went and committed suicide.
Yeah,
There.
that
I even
was a tough
texted
one.
you that night. I was
Yeah.
like, "What?"
Yeah. I remember talking to you about it.
Yeah,
Oh, I didn't even know he's.
Chester Bennington,
Bennington.
the
Oh.
lead singer. Yeah,
Yeah,
he committed
about
suicide.
a year ago, I want to say, or was it 2
What?
years
Oh,
ago?
is it that recent?
2015 or 2016.
Oh, okay, it was a couple
Yeah.
years ago.
Yeah.
Actually, you're right. It was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I remember
I had no
texting
idea.
you. I texted a bunch of my buddies that
Yeah,
from
it was like,
back in
damn.
the day. I was like, "Well, that guess my childhood is over.
I suppose.
Guess it's all done now."
Oh no!
Yeah.
Yeah,
man.
that's terrible. I had no idea.
Yeah, it was. I was
So
pretty
normal
broken up about it.
transition relevant to what you said. The guy who listened to In the End 56,000 times.
Yeah.
Like, do you guys remember when they like Netflix will release stats every year of like average watch time, most watched, blah blah blah, and like someone watched The Lord of the Rings like 400 times in a year or something, like the extended cut.
Yeah. Yeah.
Return of the King, which is like 4.5 hours long.
Yeah.
Like literally just watched it every day. Like I don't
Yeah.
like what do you just have it in the background all the time?
It's a
Like,
pretty
I
good
really wanna
movie.
know.
I do
don't
really
know.
enjoy it.
Yeah, it's a
Like,
good
man,
movie, but
like-
don't get me wrong.
I
but-
bought it so whenever I'm on a flight, I just watch that, and then I'm usually where I'm supposed to be by the end. So,
Or you watch it twice.
or I just watch it 2 times. Yeah, like honestly, just flights go way quicker with
Just
that.
watches Return of the King.
Or I just cycle through the Ace Venturas that I have, both of them, and I just continue to cycle through them.
Nah, bro, Pirates of the Caribbean.
The Caribbean?
I remember on my iPod video I had Troy for some reason.
Troy's a good one.
I watched that movie like
Troy's
a
a
million
good one.
times.
I watched it.
Who
I
is
watched it.
this guy? Get off the
Did you guys ever watch,
podcast.
did you guys
Like
ever
Brad
watch-
Pitt movies? We talked about this. Best Brad Pitt movies? You're like, Troy. I was like,
What?
what?
No, what?
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 No.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you guys ever watch the movie Sex Drive?
All right then.
What is
yeah.
that? No.
Sex Drive?
Yeah.
You
Oh, I'm
watched it?
pretty sure I watched it.
Where he steals his brother's car to go meet like a chick from the internet or something.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've seen that movie.
It's kind of like a coming of age film, if you will, right?
Like
And,
Superbad?
Yeah, yes. But it's apparently like that director was actually interviewed on Joe Rogan, which was random but oddly interesting.
I mean, you take a handful of people, and Joe Rogan's been around so long, you've probably been interviewed by Joe Rogan.
yeah, exactly. The 5 degrees of Joe Rogan. So, yeah. But
Finish your thought.
oh Christ. Oh yeah. So that movie apparently, like, to him, it was only like a cult classic or whatever. But in my head, like, because I had it on my iPod video, so I watched it 8 million times on, like, car drives to, like, you know, wherever we went.
Yeah.
I'm like, in my head, it was, like, on the same level as Superbad for, like, that type of movie, but I guess not mainstream.
No, it wasn't. But I had it on my video, too.
Yeah.
That's the only reason why I know what it was, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, it's kind of like a Superbad copy, but, like, not as good.
Yeah. Like, I rewatched it sort of recently after that, and, like, there's probably 3 really funny parts.
But it's the same idea,
yeah.
the same ingredients as Superbad.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
They have, like...
the same ingredients.
The same, like, types of comedic cast, right? They're both, like... They're all, like, pretty unknown starting up actors, right?
Yeah.
But Superbad obviously just took off. It's kind of like Hangover, right? Everyone's tried to make a Hangover knockoff now.
Yeah.
Because it was so wildly popular.
That's what pisses me off about movies, though, nowadays, is that there's just no original ideas.
Well, yeah, especially with, like, the saturation of, like, the superhero movie stuff.
There's that, and then there's also, like, sequels times 50.
Well, that's my problem with these beloved Disney movies being remade.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, like 15 years later?
We're straying away from things I actually have a credible opinion on, which is interesting. But as a movie watcher, like...
I have seen several movies.
You're a credible movie watcher. There you go.
I'm a self-proclaimed movie critic.
Yeah. You're a cinephile.
Cinephile. That's like a pedophile. Cinephile.
Have you guys ever seen the South Park where they make fun of Yelp reviewers? Where, like, the whole town becomes Yelp reviewers, and they go to a restaurant, and they're like, oh, can I sit over here and do this? And, like, making ridiculous requests. And they're like, no, sorry, we can't do that. And they're like, oh, I'm a Yelp reviewer. And they're like, oh, my God, I'm so sorry.
That's great. That's good.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it, unfortunately. I haven't been watching a lot of South Park recently. I haven't watched their new stuff. What?
Man, you should actually watch the, like, I think season 21 was last year's, but just came out on Crave. You can get it on Crave. And, like, I don't know, the most recent, like, the last few years, they've been pretty good.
Really? Okay. Because I remember the reason I stopped watching it, I just stopped watching TV a lot. And then... But a big one was they started doing, instead of, like, the single episode narratives, they, like, they had it running for, like, the whole season.
Like a whole arc.
They had, like, the story arc, right? And I was like...
They do that now, but it is... I don't know. I've really enjoyed the last couple of seasons because they just make fun of everyone and everything.
Of course, well, they do such a good job at it, right?
Oh, for sure.
They are. Trey Parker and Matt Stone are absolute geniuses, right? Yeah. And so it's always a treat to watch that. Yeah, for sure. Essentially anything they do, it's fantastic.
Basketball.
Basketball,
I remember,
right?
Yeah.
Like the old season, I think it was like season 3 or something like that, where before each episode they would be playing, like, the guitar at the old folks' home. Do you remember that?
No.
You didn't? Oh my god. Yeah, back in, like, older seasons.
Okay, yeah.
They would have, like, little skits that they did together. Like, just, like, in real life before the episode actually aired.
Huh.
Yeah, it was great. Go back and watch it. It's, like, in early seasons.
Huh.
But it's fantastic.
I'll have to look that up.
But there's all originality in that sort of comedy.
Oh, yeah. It's fantastic. Yeah, it's
That's
amazing.
what pisses me off about the fucking current movie environment is there's no original ideas.
Well, it's just remaking older ones.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Well, it's
with
literally
fancy
to, like,
CGI
milk cash out
That's
of
100% what it is.
like our age movies we grew up with, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, well, like, they got me, though. Like, I loved Aladdin so much. I would definitely, for sure, I wouldn't normally go to see. What?
Is that
It's been out for a while, yeah.
Oh, okay. Have you seen it or no?
Nope, but I'm definitely going to go watch it.
I'll watch it. I'd watch that one. Toy Story 4, I can live without seeing, but...
so heavy, right? It's like, I watched that movie, that's how I learned how to use a VCR, was to rewind the Aladdin VHS.
Do you remember VCRs when you could, like, go too far rewinding and, like, fuck it up? Like...
Yeah, oh yeah, I do recall that. But that was like, yeah, they're tugging at my heartstrings, and they're gonna get my money because of it, right?
Didn't they do Lion King as well?
Well, that I think is, like, recently came out.
Yeah.
I'm probably gonna see that too.
Oh, the live action ones.
Yeah.
See, I'm more inclined to see live action ones versus, like, a remake. I would see versus, like, the sequel number 9 or whatever.
Yeah,
sort of thing.
like Lion King 2 as opposed to the original.
You know, what was a great rehash though? The Winnie the Pooh movie. that one was fantastic.
Okay, I actually haven't seen it.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah.
Anyways, if you're listening, you haven't seen it. That's a fantastic movie.
Well, we got all of our watchers to go watch the Winnie the Pooh movie
I'm sure it's not in theaters
and
anymore.
feel like Christopher Robin himself.
Yes, I loved that movie. It was great. It made me feel a lot of emotion.
Yeah, which is good.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
That's why I go to movies. I want a tear. I want something to make
Get
me
some
feel.
emotions. Yeah.
Nah, just go to John Wick and
John Wick. You're like, he killed his dog. Well, shit.
Again.
I don't know how the fuck they're gonna pull out 7 movies from that series. But
Is that?
Keanu. One word, Keanu.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. Is it actually slated to do 7?
I think there's like 3 more that they have in the pipeline already.
I didn't even
How
know
many
there
have
was
they
more
done?
than one.
3.
I did it. Like the second one went kind of under the radar, and then I'm assuming it was just a crappy sequel, and then they made a third one. I'm like, oh, they're still going with this.
Yeah, I went and saw the 3rd one. They should have stopped.
You went and saw the third one?
They should have stopped at 2.
That's a unique statement that not many people say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went to see John Wick 3.
I spent $18 to see John Wick.
My roommate in Montreal wanted to go see it,
Oh,
so-
I see.
So I
He
got
who
dragged
shall
in.
not be named.
The producer who was
roommate.
who was fired, but if you ask him, he quit. Still looking for a producer.
Should.
I figured Keanu as well, but
That's Keanu. Anything he touches is gold.
this is true. Yeah.
He's Neo from The Matrix and also a good and humble guy.
I watched Speed the other day
What speed?
from like 1993.
Oh, shit.
He's like a police officer in it. And,
Oh, really?
I'd watch it.
He's actually interesting because he's a dude who's been like mainstream famous for like 30 years, and he's hasn't gone off the rails or anything.
I would
too
argue
much.
he's more famous now than he was even back
True,
then.
true.
With Matrix and stuff
Yeah,
like that?
yeah.
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 Well, Matrix was such a huge hit.
Well, he's almost like even he literally is a meme as well. Too,
Well, he's
right?
he's become meme status,
which
right?
kinda,
Yeah.
I mean, that's a good way to bolster your career. So
Become a meme.
yeah,
become a living meme,
That's
right?
my goal.
that's like
From
you
now
know
on.
those like
Cyberpunk, right?
You know,
Cyberpunk at E3 or whatever?
but,
Yeah.
like, you know, like the wide neck dude or whatever. Like he went viral, got like 1 million followers on Instagram.
Who's Wineneck, dude?
Wide
Wide
neck?
neck?
You don't know who that is?
The guy who's
It was
his neck is like
it's a
this.
genetic thing.
Oh,
that-
okay.
Yeah, it's a dude who was
Was it like a
arrested.
mugshot?
Yeah, it was a mugshot, and then he went viral, and he got like I don't know, either he did it himself or someone smart told him like make an Instagram and start selling like
Yeah.
merch, which he does now, and now he just makes videos and does that.
There's that guy, and there's also that guy that had like the most attractive mugshot of all time.
Yeah,
You
the
ever see that?
good-looking cop or whatever. No, good-looking.
Good-looking
criminal
criminal
or
Criminal,
whatever.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that guy has a bunch of followers on Instagram now.
Well, isn't he like dating a celebrity now or something?
Yeah.
I don't know,
really?
some
Yeah,
sort.
like he definitely turned that
Interesting.
mugshot around.
See, yeah, you do one viral thing like that and just run with it, and you're set.
So
That's
what's
it,
the
Tom.
viral
What do
thing
you-
that
what-
we're
yeah.
gonna do?
I don't know. We should do
Chungus breaks.
Chungus
breaks.
Chungus.
Coach.
That's gonna be pretty.
Yo,
epic.
man, we need to do our white. We came up with this with Dylan on the last episode we aired. Was doing White Ave interviews like at like 3 in the
2:30 in the
morning, and just like be like, Josh Blaze here on location for Long and Hard Podcast, and just ask people like,
Yeah.
Actually, speaking of asking hard questions, ask people like very difficult,
Yeah.
prying questions.
Yeah,
like,
no.
what do you think of the escalating situation in Hong Kong right now?
Yeah, actually, though, really pressing,
Holy
like,
shit.
serious questions. Yeah.
Yeah.
And have like a good camera
Well,
crew.
do you remember Simple Pickup on YouTube? They used to do that, and they would just do like sexualized questions, like
Oh, yeah.
to like
I see.
drunk girls on the street.
Oh, then it's already been done. then.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
but,
but we're
but,
not-
but we're gonna be like the hard questions, you know, like
The long and hard questions?
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I just thought it was just a general content idea too. Just start talking about whatever. It's good.
Yeah, no, that would be great.
We'll do it.
Honestly, to do things like that, you have to put yourself out there,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? Yeah, you got to do
It would
it.
be funny.
Yeah, I would watch.
You'd probably be in it.
That's where editing comes in.
Yeah.
Just plant a bunch of our friends at different bars and get you guys really shit
Just
faced and be like,
shit
oh,
faced.
here's this random guy on White Ave.
Who hasn't been on the show before?
Yeah.
You should do the equivalent of Eric Andre's Bird Up. Have you guys seen that?
Which one's that?
Oh, that's one of his skits that he does all the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
But what is Bird Up, though?
No, but fuck, I don't know. He just goes on, does absolutely asinine and incredible things to people.
The only thing
Okay.
I remember from that show is fucking Kraft Punk.
I don't know who that is.
Oh, fantastic, surreal.
It's a Daft
Style.
Punk guy that's dressed in like the Daft Punk attire, except he's like also covered in macaroni and cheese.
Quentin's name. That's what his tag is Kraft Punk. No, no, yeah.
There's
If
some
you,
good, he does some good bits on that show. It's funny.
oh, it's incredible, and he has Hannibal Buress, who's also a comedic
Yeah.
genius, right?
Hannibal Buress is funny. I like him.
Oh, he's great.
His
He has,
have you watched his stand-up special?
Yeah.
It's actually really good.
oh, he's very good prosody, right?
Yeah.
Just the way he like says things
Mhm.
is like
Yeah.
you're just gonna laugh. You
Yeah.
you know it's gonna be funny, right?
Have you seen the? They did a YouTube thing where they took over each other's Tinder accounts.
Yeah. I think I've
That
seen
was-
that. Yeah.
Oh,
Hilarious.
Eric and
Yeah,
maybe I did see.
I don't know.
I need to watch that again.
We'll watch it after this.
Yeah,
How far are we? Like 2
we're
hours?
pretty long into this, so we should maybe call it.
Yeah,
call
let's
an
wrap it
episode
up.
here.
Would you like any other questions?
Ooh,
Any other topics?
ooh, what's the meaning of
No.
life?
Yeah. Fucking depends on which school of thought you want to answer it from, right?
We're gonna get into the philosophical. Are you a Stoic or an Epicurean?
Epicurean. Epicurean.
Epicurean.
When I was reading that, I was like, how do I fucking say this? Like, how do I say Epicurus? Epicurean.
Yeah.
I don't know. I read some books. I'm not an authority on it. I can't necessarily say. I've talked to a lot of people who know more about philosophy than I do, for sure.
Yeah.
I've read like letters from a Stoic to a Stoic.
Seneca.
That's Seneca. That was one of my favorite. That was one of my favorite reads.
Is yeah, I remember sort of reading like Marcus Aurelius Meditation. Is that what it's
I read Meditations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I read it when I was in a dark place.
Did you?
Yeah.
But you know, and I've done that when you're experiencing. Well, for me, when I was experiencing a little bit more anxiety, either due to life situation or school, I would always kind of retreat to philosophy, and so Stoicism was pretty nice.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed it. And did I internalize a lot of the Stoic beliefs? You try, but it's hard to. Seneca himself had difficulties
I think
adhering to his own principles, right?
Yeah, I think it's pretty much impossible to. You would have to forego all
Yeah.
human emotion to probably
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
to establish yourself as a.
But like reading it's nice.
It's nice because it's like this glorified like pie in the sky potential.
Ideal and potential. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
But so that's what I enjoyed that one, and I tried to read a few other books. I still haven't gotten through The Prince all the way, so
Oh, Machiavelli.
yeah, I was like, oh geez, that snoozed me always. I was
Oh,
like,
did it?
Yeah.
Like it was just boring or what?
I don't know. It was just I would
It's
have to.
short, eh?
It's
Like I
short.
bought it and it's like this thick.
It's short, but for some reason, where I was, especially with Seneca's Letters to a Stoic, I was just lured in by the perspective and point of view of the letters.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, I'm the young Stoic he's writing to, right? And it's very his perspective and his teachings are very palatable.
Right.
But these other ones that are written for public discourse and they're a little bit more difficult to swallow, I think, for the layperson such as myself.
He was also rich as fuck.
Seneca?
Seneca.
Well, yeah, he was like advisor to Nero, right? Or
Yeah.
something like that. So,
Yeah.
yeah, he's a big deal.
He was.
He was a big deal. He had bad asthma too.
I didn't know that.
Like me. I am like Seneca. That's like, because he like never left his house for the last while, right? Because I think his asthma was bad or some shit.
Huh. What do you know?
I don't actually know. I think I read that in the prologue to the book itself.
He invented the inhaler.
Yeah, did you hear Seneca invented the inhaler?
Start spreading
Bro
rumors.
philosophy.
Brolophy.
Brolosophy.
Brolosophy.
Yeah.
Nice try, Josh. Okay, well, I think that's probably an episode for today.
Sounds
Yeah.
good. Let's cut it. Go
Alright.
follow the boys
Yeah.
on all the platforms. Where can we find you on the socials, Nathan? I know you're not very big on there. But...
No, you can't really find me on any social media, to be honest.
Oh, good. So, zero credibility for this guy.
Yeah, in fact, use a different name.
Really helpful for our growing reputation here. So,
I honestly, I did change my Facebook handle so patients couldn't find me on Facebook either. Also,
yeah, I
so
guess
you
you.
go. So I'm not just gonna
messages on
ruin that.
Friday night. I'm having this knee pain. God damn it.
Can you give me a session, please? It really hurts.
Yeah.
Well, there's that, and there's the ethical ramifications of it too.
Fair enough.
So my name is
Chungus.
Chungus. Nathan Chungus.